Here's my. I know there are some questions. All right, just in case. All right. We are here, Unclicked. Another video parts special with I guess the guy that put
himself,
out 3 video parts in the last basically the month. So Dennis is out of town. We got Demarcus Paul.
What's up?
Who actually did the last one too. So this works out perfectly. Joined by Zach Krejmas. I've been saying this like I just question it every once in a while. Yeah. So that fucking J, basically just messing everything up in your name.
100%.
Yeah. Could be silent. Could not be silent. Could be silent.
It depends on the day. So thank you for joining us. We are sponsored by Dale's still, but it is the middle of the day. Probably not going to drink any. So shout out to them. Shout out to Odyssey.
Yeah.
Right. Sponsor of Broc, sponsor of us, sponsor employer of Zach. So let's jump into it, I guess. First question, Demarcus.
Oh,
wow. I feel like I'm on a game show.
You ready?
For 500. But
500. 3 video parts dropping back to back to back. Was that planned at all?
At some point, yes. It definitely didn't hit till I would say once a couple of the parts started to take shape.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I filmed with Daniel, Accelerate, was the one that kind of came into the picture a little bit later. But I had always been filming with Zach. Him and I are always out. He lives down the street from me, so it's always awesome, to just meet up, get in the Scion with him and just cruise around and get clips. And then obviously during that time, Grant came in and him and I kind of came into agreement that we were going to work on a part. And then, once the Daniel video kind of came into the picture, then it was like, oh man, maybe there's something stewing here.
Got you. Okay.
What's the oldest clip?
I would definitely have to say Zach probably has that one, or Incinerate has probably some of the oldest clips, just because him and I have been consistently stacking for the longest.
All right. And so I guess from like the outside looking in, a lot of people were like, oh, sick, a Broc part. Oh, what? Another Broc part? And then they still didn't know. Like I texted, I put on the news thing, and luckily the timing was good. I was like, there's a third Broc part coming, but it actually dropped like the day after you guys started promoting Incinerate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I guess the thought is like, why? Because I feel like from conventional pro bike rider methodology, you don't put out 3 parts in like a very small window.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another question that I've gotten a lot from a lot of people that have watched all 3 is, like, why didn't you space them out more? But the overall idea, once all those videos did come into kind of my mind of like, oh, I could release kind of an entire series, sort of almost like a concept, but without it being pigeonholed to riding only alleyways or riding only sidewalks like I had already done with Odyssey.
Yeah.
And so that was something that kind of I started brainstorming. I was like, well, man, like I'm working on this video with Zach. I'm working on this video with Grant. I'm starting to get clips with Daniel. Maybe there's something here to deliver an entire package series that all feels cohesive, but each video is different because I'm working with different filmers with different styles. And then from there, it kind of just branched on to trying to ride different spots and then trying to do different tricks. Obviously there's only so many you can do. I don't know. I started to fall in love with the idea of like the challenge of being able to build out 3 parts, but have them feel differently from the things that I just listed, spot wise, trick wise, anything from editing to the art direction and everything like that. And then once everything started to take shape, that's when I started like involving Zach and trying to like really, get more than just my thoughts on the entire idea, to have more people kind of help shape it into something that was presentable versus me just kind of feeling like a mad scientist doing some crazy shit,
And so I guess that was one of my questions that I wrote down is the filmers obviously knew that you're working on multiple parts at the same time, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And I guess I should have started with this earlier, but I did kind of want to keep it a secret to a level. Obviously, Zach knew and everybody that I was working with knew. But I did want that element of surprise of once we did kind of figure out some sort of, I guess the word is cadence of like posting them or scheduling. then like I was like, okay, like it was hard because Retaliate was coming out, but while I was working on while that one was coming out, I was already working on the graphics for Accelerate like the day it dropped.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there was just so much going on, and like just trying to curate the whole thing at one time was a huge challenge. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You did like I saw the podcast you did with Canode and the idea of the neurons and about movement, being able to feel all motor skills. And I look at that you had your hand deep in that one with like the direction of it, right? And then you did the graphics for Accelerate, which is like the Mustang, right? Did you draw the horse and everything?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If I look at like Retaliate, Accelerate, Incinerate, is that kind of like a play off of like movement? All right, we're hitting the gas now. Then being that we're going so fast, may as well keep it going, just burn it to the ground. So it's like Incinerate.
that's sick.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way I looked at it. But being that you're an artist, like can you go a little bit into detail with the idea of what inspired the idea for those specific names? Because I already know like the first one was like kind of one of the bands was like called, was it Retaliate? Or the songs were
so the last song was by The Chisel, and the song Nation's Pride was off of the Retaliation was the name of the album.
Okay.
And then the first song was called Feeling Real, and neurons play a role in the feeling, thinking, and all that stuff. So that's kind of why we thought that was a kind of cool sort of nuance to add in there and kind of give it some sort of vibe rather than just more crash B-roll or anything like that.
Crazy. That's it was like I thought you were going like college thesis there. Like I'm really trying to figure out what the but that it's probably crazy because people watching probably have their own different ideas of like, oh, this is what he was thinking. Like,
well, I kind of like I really enjoy watching BMX videos, like no matter like the level of riding. But I also think like there's a lot of emotion that go into riding. So like I'm not an artist, so I can only imagine like even while riding where your brain goes to the idea of like, let's say if you're one clip in, then let's say second clip in, you're like working for it. So then your brain starts to turn like, all right, so what am I really getting out of it? So whenever you do start the process of like, maybe I can do the graphics for this, the name that you come up with, then it's like to go even that far past the first one. And even the second one looking a little bit different. I don't know what kind of camera you guys film with, but it showed like a different like perspective of each filmer, how they put the project together. But it's like, wonder where he's going with it. So when I'm watching it, it's like, dang, I want to look up these words and like try to think a little bit more into it so I can understand and try to relate to it more so than just like looking at it,
Yeah. Well, that was such a great explanation that you gave of like all that stuff. And as Ryan said, like it is cool to hear people's own perspective and creative thought process on the entire project. I can't take credit for the entire sort of overall umbrella of the art direction of it because, like I said, once everything started to take shape, Retaliate was in place. Like I knew that I wanted to name that video that, and we had the art direction all solidified. But then that's when I started going to Zach and the art department at Full Factory or OTX, and they started kind of helping me out a lot with like that whole process because I knew I wanted to name the next video Accelerate. And then we kind of all just started brainstorming from there. And I guess to highlight what you were talking about with the neurons, that was set in stone with Retaliate. And then with
before the filming started.
Sorry, that came in like at the end. Like once we were editing it, we were like, oh, let's go with this direction. I like that a lot. It fits with the songs. And we're like, cool. But then now we have these other videos to somehow tie in and make them all feel cohesive.
Oh, that's
and then this is when I just started diving in so deep, trying to figure out any sort of way to make it, again, feel more like an entire package of 3 videos, not just like, hey, here it is, here's riding again, and here's riding again, and here's riding again. Like, I wanted it to feel like an overall thing.
Is there, playing devil's advocate, is there at any point where you're like, maybe I should just make one like fucking super part and forego this entire thing?
To be honest, not really, because I think with each one edited as they play on YouTube, each one's around 6 minutes. So you're looking at 18 minutes of footage.
Yeah.
And
I mean more in the sense of like a 9-part like magnus opus. like this is, I'm going to show my grandchildren this, you know, like not that this is it, but like, but in that sense, like where you're like a 9-minute 3-part like type video part.
Yeah. And just kind of like really sit down and like pick and choose from each one.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I just really wanted each filmer to like be able to highlight their expertise and skill as well, because like that is also like a really cool part of being a writer, is being able to work with amazing filmmakers like Zach and Daniel and Grant. And I wanted that to also like create a difference in each video as well, because although yes, you know, to me, not knowing much about cameras and videoing, yeah, there's a dude holding a camera filming you, but all of these dudes have different styles, edit differently and all that stuff. And that's something that I think is really cool when I go to watch this person's video, because I knew that they filmed with said person. Right.
What about Zach, from your perspective, what's it like making a video part with, you know, knowing that 2 other parts just came out?
It was a little interesting, or I felt like I needed to kind of watch the other parts because I just didn't want to unintentionally make my video similar.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, how is the title sequence in this video? How is it in this one? How can I set this one apart?
Yeah.
And then even just when it came to music, which Broc had a super long playlist of songs he was into.
Nice.
But even just trying to pick songs that didn't feel too similar to
it seemed like the both first songs in Retaliate and Accelerate, sorry if I get them confused at any point, were pretty similar overall in my opinion, at least, like with like the dark, like kind of deep tempo, you know. Is that like on purpose, or is it just,
well, you were Incinerate?
Yes.
Sorry.
Accelerate's
the middle one. I am mixing them. So yeah, sorry. Retaliate, Accelerate, Incinerate. I got it. Yeah.
So the music was all a little like somewhat in the similar style, and it's all kind of stuff that Broc is stoked on.
Yeah.
But I felt like it still had like a subtle different vibe, or at least some of the other parts felt a little more like at that punk or hardcore kind of upbeat tempo, where this was a little more like laid back.
It was Deftones, right?
The first song was Deftones, yeah.
You know, doesn't the bassist rides BMX, or used to?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure he does.
That's
I don't know
pretty
that
funny.
fact, but that would be awesome.
Cool. Yeah. I think, you know, in the sense of like, I guess editing wise, was it, you know, pacing or anything difficult with just like comparing the other sections, or you kind of just, I don't know. I feel like when almost is me personally, I feel like I'd almost like not prefer to see those parts and then like do my thing and then maybe change it afterwards if I felt like it was like too close.
That's kind of what I did, where I didn't want to focus too much on them, where it felt weird to not have some sort of knowledge of how they are, but then I wanted to just make what I was going to make and not have it be led by whatever the style of the other videos was.
Yeah.
But I think there was like a couple things where after the fact, I might have changed the intro a little bit because it might have been a little similar to Retaliate or something.
So Broc, we know who Krejmas is and Grant. Who is Daniel? Daniel Cardenas?
Yeah. Daniel
Who is he? I know like a few people say like he rides scooters, like, which is sick, you know. So what was your take on, or how did that video come about, basically?
So basically through mutual friends. I have a bunch of homies just through like being at the skate parks, being in the streets. I've made friends with skaters, scooter riders, people all around. I'm sure we all have. And, you know, over time, one of them was like, yo, we got this homie, Daniel. He's like an amazing filmer. If you ever wanted to work on a project, he'd be hyped. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So Daniel and I started going back and forth, and we talked about it for like a couple months, and it was always just like, hey, we should do that. Like, yeah, cool. And then it would just like die out. And then finally I was like, hey, let's plan a trip, you know, like come out here and let's just work on something.
So
like,
he's not from California?
No, he actually lives in like a town outside of Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of explains
the clips in I Got You.
Exactly.
Right.
And Accelerate the trip. He came out here, visited me, and then I went to Phoenix and visited him. So it was basically, that was filmed over 2 trips, him visiting me and then me going visit him.
Wow. It's crazy. 2 trips.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Should we jump into videos before we? I feel like we got all. It's crazy because I feel like we went like close to 3 hours last time, and it was like a third of the footage. So let's jump into it, and then we'll.
Let me say one last thing, though, man. I just definitely got to give a shout out to Zach as well as the other two filmmakers, Daniel and Grant, just for working with me throughout this entire project. I know that it was a kind of a crazy different thing that I sort of pushed on everybody, but I'm just so thankful and grateful that you guys were down to be a part of it, because it was cool to be able to do something challenging, to say the least, for myself, and a little bit different. And I was just, again, just so thankful for you guys' involvement and being down to curate this whole sort of weird process that was going on, because I know it is something that is more unusual than it is usual.
What I guess,
a good point.
What was the response been?
So far people have been so hyped on the entire project, especially like with Incinerate coming out, and then like us kind of finally announcing that it is an overall project to be released.
Yeah, I
think people like really, really enjoyed that it was kind of like a series almost. And I've gotten tons of positive feedback. Obviously, I feel like everybody's so hyped on Zach's work always, as well as everybody else. So it's just, it's been awesome all around. And again, I'm just so thankful to be able to be sitting here now, sort of looking back on it and kind of seeing that it worked out. And again, I know it was a super crazy thing to try to pull off. And I felt like when I was talking about it to like Zach or these other dudes, I was kind of like, I'm probably going to sound insane right now, but bear with me. And dude, obviously everybody's been so positive, including these guys. So I'm just grateful.
Yeah, cool. Props to y'all. I mean, it shows how productive you are as a writer, but also how versatile the filmers are. Because I know and everybody included in that. So if you have 3 videographers, everybody's perspective is different. One writer, so he paid attention to the other filmers' process, kind of checked out certain details, which goes to show he's down to try to figure this out and make it work for the better. Because I know when it comes to art form and filming, you do want yours to stand out and be completely different. But what I think they did was it was still different, but all blended together really well. So it's putting out video part shows how productive you are as a writer. So both you guys deserve a pound of back.
Well, I definitely appreciate that a lot. Man. I mean, we took a chance, and they took a chance on me. They all did, because I was literally I'm working on all these projects simultaneously, all for the love of riding and just enjoying being out, riding spots, all that stuff. So, it was, again, I was gambling not only with my time, but with theirs too, because this so easily, if one part fell short, then the whole thing falls short, right? So it was just, again, I was putting it all on red or all on black on this one, and just shoot, let's see what happens. And again, that's why I sit here and just looking back, it's something just that I'm grateful for, because I could have screwed so many people over if one thing on my end had fallen short. So I'm very, very thankful.
Awesome. Well, let's start off with the first one, which is Retaliate with Grant C. We do. Let's see. Yeah. So
born for this.
I love that.
Yeah, that's sick. So I'll leave the music on for a little bit, but I'll probably turn it off in post. So
okay, no worries.
Yeah.
And you want me to break it down?
Whatever's worth. Those are the neurons and stuff like that. Absolutely. So you did the artwork for it?
Yeah. So all these graphics, I have my iPad here. I can show you guys, but it's just kind of just layers and layers of letters over and over again. But I've done the graphics for Retaliate and Accelerate. And then Dave Fortman did the graphics and everything for Incinerate.
Cool. Yeah, anything you think we should talk about, totally down to rewind and all that stuff. So, I think, Grant made a very sincere post after this came out, because he felt like it was really a special thing to kind of work on a passion project with you. I thought that was super cool that he kind of put it out there in the sense that I think a lot of people wouldn't, does that make sense?
Grant's a BMX guy, man. He's real passionate. I'm pretty sure about any part of BMX, and it's anything from him, it seems very sincere. So
yeah, just in the sense that I think your work ethic and just like how you know, pro quote unquote you were the entire time. So and I guess maybe break down how long you guys were filming in general.
So for this one, it took us about a year from like early 2022 till earlier this year when we decided that we were gonna move forward with finishing the video or like have him start editing it. And yeah, man, I mean, Grant, again, as I said before, Grant took a chance on me with this mainly because we didn't have a sponsor's involvement in it. It was just sort of, hey, let's work on a project. We don't know where it's going to land at the end of the day, but I'm going to honor your rate no matter what. Yeah. So if that's what it costs for me to pay you to film and edit this video, then that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. And that's huge. Right. So basically out of pocket for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, and I couldn't see money better spent from my end, having it go into the hands of someone that loves BMX so much, regardless of whether it's an edit for me or not, you know, just supporting BMX in that way, because I know that money's going directly to him putting gas in the van to drive other people around for them to get clips or for him to put food on the table with his girlfriend, you know, like I just can't think of any better way than to support it like that.
That's amazing.
I want to talk about the Hanger 180 T-Bog.
So sick.
Yeah. That one kind of came randomly. I forget what we went to. We went to something that day specifically, and then we just ended up at that school. Mm-hmm. Like we were just like, oh, this school's close. Let's go. And I had never been there before. I know that like some of the other riders have, like, I'm pretty sure Dan Kruk was with us that day and he had done the Hanger whip, which was nuts after seeing the rail, just being like, this is so wild.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of, the sun was going down. It was one of those sessions where it's the end of the day. Everybody's kind of.
You have like a bug. I think you just ate it. Yeah. That was amazing.
I like, as you said, I was looking at you, I felt it hit my lip and it went into my mouth.
Well, you just ate a bug on camera.
It's protein.
There you go.
Is it good?
Yeah, accelerated.
Maybe have some water. Or is it?
Maybe it'll fly back out.
I'm sorry, there's bugs in my house first. That was amazing.
That accelerated fast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I am filming in 4K. I always, fuck. Holy shit. Well, that derailed in every single thought I had in my head.
I remember the question about Hanger 180.
So the Hanger 180. I mean,
eat a bug. Keep your mouth closed.
Obviously, I think that like not a normal trick by any means. Like I feel like that's like one of those ones where, because the spot has been like utterly murdered over the years, that I don't know. I just feel like it's such an abnormal trick, in my opinion. But
I mean, we were just that to what I was saying before, like it was just a sundown session where everybody was just kind of kicking back. We were just leisurely riding it, just seeing what was working, what wasn't. Some people were trying to double peg down it, you know, just joking around, you know. And then I started hangering a bit and I was like, oh, this is working. I've been Dan did the Hanger 180, so I was not trying to do anything similar. So I was like, oh, well, maybe if I like Hanger 180, we'll see what that's like. And then I don't know, it just kind of came to me in the moment. I was like, man, it would be super weird to try to take my hand off and put it on the seat and then also crank the toboggan a little bit more past the like point of which the front peg is on the rail. And then it took a couple tries to like get a solid one in there without like having good like hand contact on the seat while also like pushing with my right hand kind of past the point of I guess with the bars parallel with the frame to like make it sure it was a toboggan versus just like a seat slap one-hander.
Did you and Dan, not Dan, but you and Grant talk about like how it would be filmed before doing it? Because I know like even looking at the trick, there are two ways. So like with the Hanger 180, we normally would be on the back end, but with the toboggan being on the front side, it's like you want to show the hand off. But like I know you talked about like how to use the fisheye. I saw that video. You talked about that, and it's like those things are so crucial. Like me, like being around some of the best fisheye users ever in the BMX world. And did you guys go over that before doing it? Because you can tell like your back end went way up, but the way you dipped it and the hand separation in the bar, you can see everything clearly. Like, was that talked about before getting the trick at all?
From my end, I don't usually, I mean, sometimes if there's like a danger factor, I will bring up angle or positioning or things like that, but I don't know too much about filming, to be completely honest. Like I watch videos all day and I think it looks awesome and I can tell different styles, but for these guys, I just let them do their thing. And like, I just trust in their work, you know, and I don't know, maybe Zach could add some there.
Yeah. Like, how do you look at that? Like
I'm always down. I feel like it's always a balance between making the spot look good and then showing the aspect of the trick, where sometimes it's kind of like finding the happy medium. And sometimes I might have to decide like I need to film it here so you see the trick the best, because this other angle that shows the spot well hides an important aspect of the trick. So
yeah, I think like this one, traditionally I would think that you would film it on the toboggan side so you could see it proper, but for like Grant, maybe just because it was a couple of tries, he was like, it'll work from this side, you know, but it looks, it like just makes it seem so dipped and everything like
it's like nothing was lost here. It's like everything worked. Like the hanger 180, you can see the back tires swoop from left to right. Yeah. And then also the dip on the toboggan. It's like, oh, he lined it up so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might have switched sides a couple times in the beginning, but I think like from the rip, like from when I really started like doing the toboggan, he was like, yeah, this is the angle. And he showed it to me and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. You know? Like,
yeah, because I always think of like, because I have the photo brain. So I'm like, from the photo side, you would want to shoot from the opposite side of the rail. Just because that would be your like, you could see it's a toboggan and everything, you know, like, but Grant made it work. Like,
I mean, even like, from my end, like he was sitting where my back end was coming up. So in the intro, one of the bales is like him almost getting smoked. So like that for me, I mean, Zach knows this all the time. Like when, you know, a filmer is in from my perspective,
splash zone.
Yeah. Splash zone. I'm like, yo, just be on your toes. Like I'm trying to do everything I can not to hit you or run into you, but I can't control the inevitable here. So like, just be aware, you know, and obviously he ducked and managed to leave that one unscathed, but like it does happen, as you can see in the intro.
Grant's poor fish eye.
Yeah, man. Fish eyes. Exactly.
Yeah. You saw it at the cash up jam in Amsterdam. You see that clip of Santi almost killing him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Coming out of the curve wall, right? And just shot straight for him. That was another one, I think, like where he was like crunchy, in like a crazy like spot, like where I was coming over, like almost on top of him. And I was like, oh my God, like this is like, I guess not off-putting, but like I just trusted him. I wasn't gonna be like, hey, move, you know, but I was just like, all right, dude, like you're there, you know what I'm doing. Like just be mindful that I might come a little close. But then once he showed me the clip, I was just like, hats off to you, man. That looks awesome. And the same happened through Accelerate with Daniel and Incinerate with Zach, you know, like so many times where I'm just like, dude, like I'm landing super close to you, but then they run the clip back and I'm like,
all right,
this is why I trust you, dog. Like, you know?
This is why you're here.
Were you like, did you film like any of these at the same time, or were they all just separate? Like, did you film Retaliate, then Accelerate, like all separate, or did you kind of like
they were all happening like almost like not back to back, but like some weeks I would be with Zach, some weeks I would be with Grant, some weeks I would hit both up and be like, oh, Zach's free this day, I'll ride with Zach. But then he's like not available on the weekend, but Grant is, so I'll go ride with him. And then the Daniel ones were a bit more like trip focused, like where he's out here, I need to focus in with him.
Got you.
But yeah, it was a crazy past year of just like scheduling, you know, like, and not just because I wanted to be the most considerate of their time.
Right.
You know, hey, you know, when do you feel like you're going to be out? Okay, if you're not going to be out this week, then maybe I'll focus on this one for a bit. But yeah, they were all going on pretty much all the way up until earlier this year when we were like, oh, all right, it's time to start editing them all pretty much.
What about, you know, if you're out with Grant and you're like, all right, here's a spot for this trick. But I kind of already have one with him, like, or, you know, or I wanted to do this with Zach for his, because it goes, you know, like, was there any sort of like thoughts like this, like, oh, maybe I'll save this, or you know, because that can get awkward in a sense of like the filmer shows you a spot and then you're like, but this actually goes better for the one I'm doing with Zach, because I already have something similar with Grant. I'm making up scenarios in my head. But.
Absolutely. I mean, the number one thing for me with that was respect to these guys, you know, all of them, whether it was Zach showed me a spot or Grant or Daniel, you know, like if they showed me that spot and we talked about it, then I would either completely reserve that for them, or if it came to a situation where I was considering it for someone else, they would be the first ones to know about that consideration. I mean, again, it was a huge challenge for me to be keeping tabs on what clips and what spot were in each video. And I just knew that for me, I just didn't want to bum any of them out, like not even in the slightest. So I just made sure to be completely transparent, which is why they all knew that all videos were being filmed at the same time, but also just being like, yo, we talked about this. We're going to do this for our video. Like, that's it.
True professional and very respectful.
Yeah.
Like,
You can raise it.
Oh, shit.
I feel like you're for it. I don't want you to be sore neck by the end. So wherever you move it, you'll see me. I'll lean back and I'll pull it. I'll just pull it with me, like move around. So enough. You're good.
But I guess just to add to that, it added, or I guess it almost encouraged me to be better organized with my spots. That way I did have a bag to pull from. That way, if we did end up somewhere, but it was a spot that I went through with Zach and already clipped up at, I either needed to get creative and film something new, or just be like, no, like I'm just going to like sit this one out, but I know something that I want to go to next. So that kind of all pushed me in a very positive direction working on this whole thing, because then it allowed me to not only work on these videos spot wise and clip wise, but then I started to be able to like help out with Zach. Like, hey, there's this, if you want to take the other homies there, some team riders there. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, it was just cool to kind of like feel that part of riding kind of move in a positive direction too.
No, that's cool.
This clip's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
I would have to say that one is one that I fought for the most of all of the clips in this video, mainly just because of the hold in the
180 feeble.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it, because you both sides, so it's like your left and your right, do you feel like it's harder to hold the 180 feeble on the back foot side or the front foot side?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because on the front foot side, you almost start to like continue rotating and you almost end up in like a fakey ice at some point, versus this one, you can kind of under rotate it and just kind of like feed your weight into it.
Gotcha.
But the hardest part of this specific clip was staying in the fakey feeble, but then also being in a position to pop the revert full cab out. Because like I would get to the end, but then all I could do was just do the revert to forward.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it dancing as it's like going back,
like
you know.
wiggling.
Control,
Get over the ledge, start coming back.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a very popular spot in the Southern California scene. So again, this was one of those things where I just kind of had to sit there and throw myself at the spot until something stuck and something felt like, to me, something that I wanted to put in the effort to film. Because as you probably all have experienced, going to spots that are, I don't want to say blown out, but have seen a lot of clips over time. You know, you do kind of sit there and beat your brain like, what else could be done? You know,
understandable. And I think you maybe talked about this on the Canode podcast, but like the reserving the pegs over hard 3, like some minor usage, you know, like is there like a 1 per video part, or maybe 1 to 0 to 1, maybe like
it just depends on the spot, really. With the amount that I've done that trick over the years,
and it's a crowd pleaser.
I mean, people enjoy it for sure. But I guess for me, you know, it's something that's known at this point. Like, I mean, all my friends and I tease the trick, calling it Old Faithful, you know, like it's the one that you can depend on. But for me, I just, if I'm going to do one now, the spot really has to lend its hand to complementing it in a certain way. And being that the one that happens in this video, you know, just going up this rail, like I was pedaling my ass off and then like getting to the top where it L's out. I was like, okay, this makes sense to like do it here because I have to pop over going right in order for my front wheel to miss hitting that like L'd off part. So to me, it made sense and I was happy with that versus just doing it out of an up rail.
Yeah.
More neurons right there.
Brains.
Big bar spin.
Yeah.
Is that in LA?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, that one. There was actually like for that big bar spin, there was actually like a protest going on down the street. So there was like people like beating drums and like yelling. Like it was like super hard to focus during that time. What's up, Jeff C?
Love the bushwhack on that.
Yeah, that was great. I like that it didn't distract you. Like, nope, I got this. Good.
With the hitting the bush.
Yeah, hitting the bush.
On the bar spinning, just like, oh, I'm catching these things.
I mean, I guess at that point I'm just committed, but I'm so particular sometimes that like hitting the bush on stuff like that could make me want to go back and do it. But I feel like on that one, it's inevitable because I can't move my bars closer to me when my hands aren't attached.
Because it looks like if you would have went even further over, your back tire would hit the other bush, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm not so, I guess, nosed in, you know. But
I feel like it added to the clip where you're like throwing them through this bush.
Yeah,
just like beasting through the bar.
I agree.
Like all the different types of clips you filmed in all of these videos, like everything stands out and everything's completely different. Like a lot of stuff didn't go unfilmed to me. When I watch it, it's not like, oh, he did the craziest thing. It's like, no, he made it look sick. Whatever it was, like everything you did, you made it look top tier.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that compliment. I definitely try to be very mindful of my riding when I am out, whether it's the gnarliest thing or something that might not be as challenging or difficult. You know, I still just want to, for me personally, put in my best effort to have it look the best because I know he's doing the same, you know, and I don't want to ever fall short of, you know, on my end when he's like, you know, like hunched over in the sun filming, you know, like I don't want to just be like lottie-dottie around, you know, and then he's like, dude, look at this. And I'm like, yeah, like sick, but I'm like, you know, slouched or.
Did you ever beat yourself up about that kind of stuff? Like, you've been riding bikes for obviously a very long time, but also a good while as a professional. When getting into filming, have you ever beat yourself up about like if something is good enough to be filmed or not? Like, I know like a lot of riders in general, like even a lot of the up and coming riders that never really had a camera pointed at them, even do it to themselves, just even on a phone. Like, what's your take to that? Like, just the approach of like, if this is good enough to be filmed, or like you pretty much answered it already with like, if it's something that comes pretty easy, you do want to put emphasis on it or like kind of do it to the best of your ability. Like, but do you ever get beat up about like if this is good enough to be filmed or not for yourself?
There was a point in my career when I would have answered this yes, because I guess it was just during a time when, you know, I felt like I needed to be posting the craziest things, or sorry, not posting, but filming the craziest things of my ability. And if it fell short of that, then in my head, it wasn't worthy. But for me, I constantly felt myself in a state of burnout because I was trying so hard all the time, you know, to get these clips that I wanted. And then I would leave the day with one or none, you know, but then I sort of started noticing that and switching that mindset to, yeah, it's cool to push yourself to that degree and see where you can get your riding and like see what you can achieve for your own like personal goals or whatever. But also it's still okay to like do something that just feels good. Or if it does come easy to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worthy, you know? And like, it is okay to do those things that are maybe a little bit simpler, or maybe it isn't the craziest, most death-defying thing, but if you do it in a cool way and you know, land into that cut real good,
and with somebody filming it that's sick, like
or you bone out the 180 real nice and just it's floaty and lofty, you know, like to me that looks just as cool as if you did a 720 down a stair set to manual 180, you know, like if we all saw that, we would be like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, you know, I mean, a big 3 table over a dirt jump is still a sick big 3 table over a dirt jump.
That is true.
Right. And I'm not saying that isn't difficult, but I'm just saying it's timeless, you know? And I think if I can get myself to, you know, dive more back into that part of my brain, then I won't necessarily feel myself getting so beat up all the time.
Nice.
You know, there's 2 references I want to make. Is one is the crystal oil turn down. Crystal oil, just do a fucking turn down.
Yeah,
that's it. It's like we don't want any more. We don't want any, but we don't want any less. Like, you know, like one of those things. And then also, remember that clip of like Sherbo and Hamilton passing the camera back and forth, and they're just cruising down the street. Did you ever see you?
No.
Oh, all right. I'll see if I can splice this up. It is a a pretty obscure reference. Here. Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's just them cruising down the street, and you get some of this in like I'll probably say it wrong, Lacuna, like the you know, like where it's like it just has a little feeling, you know, and it's like and it's a reminder of that stuff, and it's like you need that little reminder, and it's like sometimes it's about like the package of all the simple tricks packaged together in a pleasing way. That it is like done pleasing in a pleasing and presented in a pleasing way that like makes an entire video, you know, and like to try not to get caught too, you know, this is a message for, you know, because you said you had it at a point in your career is like a message for all the dudes out there. You got to enjoy it too, you know?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And that stuff is like important. You know, you're a good one of this. Like you do stuff that is like pleasing to you and also visually pleasing. And then you put the little effort in on the, you know, I don't know if you want to say, I don't even want to say the editing app these days, but
what I get from him and what he's saying is like, exactly spot on. But also when I look at it, it's like super relatable.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I brought up like the thing about the younger generation of the kids or even adults that like use the phone because like that's what's in front of them. It's like a big part of like your cycle of riding. It's like you require so much skill on a bike that at some point you are in your head about like where you should be when it comes to filming things. But whenever you like kind of, let's say, dig in the bag and it's like you got way more tricks and things you're so capable of that you like could overlook, but it looks like you chose like you pointed it out, like you're working with 3 really good videographers and it's like they're gonna capture that and they're gonna make it look sick. And just like you made the point about like the bush is like you're sometimes could be particular about the trick you get. And you talked about it with Cano, like the bar ice. And it's like, well, I could do it again. You did it 2 times afterwards. And it's like, well, you're playing like, you know, a game with like getting hurt or fire. Like, playing with fire.
Exactly.
But also, sometimes you can kind of like make a really good fire with what you have that's like straightforward and what's right in front of you and not dumbing it down, but making it super simple. And like you said, super clean. And he did a really good job with all of this.
It's an important message for those out there because there's a well-known pro right now that I feel like is like going through this where he's like kind of in his head and he's like freaking out about like progressing and doing his thing. And it's like, you just do you, dude.
Yeah, everything you do is amazing.
Yeah, you know, like just focus on finding that happy spot, the fun spot, and put that shit out there, you know? So
sometimes like how hard a trick is doesn't translate to like how cool the clip looks, where it's more like, how does this look on a screen?
Perfectly said.
That is what we're watching is how it's displayed on a screen. Not, you can't understand how hard the trick is unless you're close to that level.
Never. Yeah.
And then another aspect is when you have those fun things that might have come more easily, it translates through in the video part, like Demarcus was getting at. But I also think it helps the scary or really hard tricks to stand out because you can tell, that was really hard compared to this that looked fun. So it's kind of bringing different strengths into the video.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfectly said.
Yeah. Dude.
And then speaking of really hard, this next clip, I think, well, this one too, but the following clip.
Oh god! Oh man!
Yeah, 1,000 tries, 6,000.
So you would think, I got incredibly lucky this day.
That's awesome.
So I approached that clip specifically. I am not a backwards manualer, nor am I a bar into a backwards manualer.
Well, it doesn't look that way.
And I was just like,
Are we talking about this clip or the manual 180?
I was talking about the following clip, the bar in, bar out.
Okay.
Bar in, bar out. Okay. Yeah. This one. Okay. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
No, you're all good.
Yeah.
So this one, I mean, Zach knows I'm not doing very many of these on a daily basis. And so when the trick idea came to me in this situation, I was just kind of like, hey, Grant, I'm going to try this. If I don't get close in, a handful of tries, 15, 20 tries, we can move on. Cause we were with a squad, that was the usual. We all would jump in the van with multiple people.
And you're always mindful of that, trying to make sure that you're not taking up too much time and you have a pretty good gauge on if you're capable at the moment or not too. So yeah.
I mean, that definitely, I guess that came over time, just obviously always wanting to be considerate of everybody in the van or whoever I'm around. But then in that situation, if I know that I'm going to try something hard, but I feel like I can do it, I like to give myself at least a time stamp or a number of tries to where yes, I want this super bad, but there's also people with me today that want their clip super bad. So it's kind of the give and take there, and it is what it is. But the spot's not going anywhere as long as there's someone there not hammering it to stop you. All right.
Sorry if you don't get it this time. And that one you said came pretty quick though. So
thankfully, I'm not saying that as I got it like that. That's not it at all. No, it's this one just for whatever reason just worked out. And it's funny because those types of clips usually go like that for me, where it's either I'll get it in a reasonable amount of tries, or I'm sweating through my shirt, pants, hat, and I'm dust.
Just harder after an hour.
Yes, exactly. So I was very thankful, and it was to the point where Grant laughed. After that, he looked at me and really? Chuckled because it wasn't too far before that I was like, hey, dude, we might be here for a minute. So I was very, very thankful to leave with that one in the bag, just because it was challenging for me. There's probably so many people that can go out there and do that within a couple tries, but for me, I was like, I just wanted to showcase something a little different than the usual for myself.
Yeah.
That's sick.
And then obviously this is also a little unusual ode to Sims.
Yep. Ode to Sims. Exactly.
Is that something you had done before?
The manual 180 on a rail? I've done them before, but more on the lower kind of parking lot flat bars. So this one was definitely more challenging because it was higher, and so your body's in a different position. Which I just thought was cool because it kind of lent its hand to the spot that it closed off. I was kind of in a confined space.
Yeah.
That's kind of going back to our conversation before this one with this, it's, if you really break it down, it is a manual 180, you know, on a rail, and it's, you don't have contact for that long, but just because of the spot itself, it kind of just highlights the trick in that way. And that's, again, that isn't
the only way out.
That isn't the craziest trick ever, but at the same time, the spot almost did more of the riding than I did, if that makes sense.
Right.
Definitely. And I don't know where I saw that. Someone else had that type somewhere, and I really like that.
Yeah.
So credit to whoever put that, because I really liked.
Sounds like a DAC quote or something.
Yeah, someone said that, and I was like, dude, that is spot on with where my mindset currently is. And I don't want to take credit for that, but shout out to whoever did, because that was sick.
Spot on.
Born for this.
Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah. I did not see that coming either. When I first watched it, I was like, oh shit. Even still, when I watched it again this morning, I was like, oh, kind of forgot about that was coming.
That particular clip right there. I do want to highlight something. I know that you talked about it a lot, and not to kind of linger around it too much. All of that, if we go back further, say 2014, if you would have been more so right side dominant, that would be considered completely all opposite. If anybody watching, but you've done such hard work on making up for the way you learned. So having left side and right side, and even me looking at it, I think I grind the same exact way, or grew up grinding the same exact way. But I know the 360 bar saying is fully opposite, and even the feeble to a degree is still not new, because you do it all the time. That's your natural side, or now more so your natural side too. But to anybody watching it, it's just know that is all opposite direction, all all weird grind, on the side. He had to learn his way through that. Yeah. Not as a kid, just learning it early on, but consciously training yourself to learn it on that side. So yeah, that really stuck out to me.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I mean, even just with like the switch switch truck, you know, like I had to work my ass off to be able to switch bar. I mean,
yeah.
You know
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Zach and I was never really that guy, but it was a trick that I really wanted to do. And I just would do them constantly, day after day after day, just trying to work my way through it to get to some sort of comfort level. Yeah. So again, it was a accomplishment for me personally to be able to have that trick in the bag, just because it felt good to have reached some sort of level with it to where I could pull this clip off, versus seeing myself years ago doing one and it was the most god awful thing I've ever seen, you know? So I was like, wow, like if you really dedicate yourself.
I remember red bike Broc, like the red frame back in the day. I remember getting out of the van, opposite bar spin. And it was like, you always talked about like wanting to get better at it, but it's like seeing it is like killing it.
Well, I mean, that's the proof. And not about me, but the proof that anybody listening, any rider ever, like if you spend the time getting better at that one thing, you can do it. And I tell kids that all the time when they reach out, like, how do you tail whip? I was like, bro, you just got to spend the time. Yeah. Just spend that time, because the more you do it and the more you mess up, the more you're going to realize how to manipulate it to not have the mess up happen. And then next thing you know, the pedals are there under your feet. And then you just got to commit to that.
Whenever we do a how-to and Demarcus is doing it, I feel like it doesn't even matter the steps. It's like the message, you know, like you're like, hey, enjoy the process. Don't get focused on not being able to pull a trick, but be focused on the small progressions that you have every time you try it, you know, like stuff like that. And I'm like, those are the steps that actually help people, you know, keep that in your head. And it's like, that's the way you get there. Not like go at a medium pace, you know, like one of those things. Like
I'm going medium. It's not working.
It's not working. Fucking medium doesn't work.
What's medium? What is medium?
Yeah, I'm whipping it around and it's just not coming back to my feet.
All right. Yeah. Heavy.
Such a sick spot to take that to.
Mm-hmm. You were so peaked on the toothpick too. Yeah. It was like pretty wild, man.
Well, this one I waxed the top of it a decent amount, maybe more than I wanted. And then that's kind of why that happened, was because like I was like, I couldn't have my back end hanging as a hanger hanger popover guy yourself. If your back end's low when you do that, you're gonna end up in a very like
penciled out, like manual down low.
So for that one, I just kind of knew that I had to really get in there to get into the double peg, and I'm very thankful it worked, because this was a dream spot to apply that trick to for me. So
and you went in front peg first.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like so steep till you dove in front to back.
I definitely wanted to make sure that I was on the rail. That's for sure.
God,
love that clip. Yeah.
That's in this county, correct?
No.
I'm not that familiar with San Diego.
All right.
But it's in Arizona.
Carroll.
What's that?
Arizona.
What?
Arizona.
Oh.
No, it's up kind of closer to like Miramar.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, a county. Like I meant like San Diego County. Like I was like trying to be somewhat slick and then ruined it. All right, so that is Retaliate. Shout out to Grant C.
Shout out to Grant.
Yeah. So
thank you, Grant.
Busy man.
Busy
grinder.
man.
Yeah, killing it.
And then we are doing Accelerate, which why do I have?
That's it.
Yeah, did he name it wrong?
Maybe.
I was like, whoa.
He's a busy guy himself.
I was just tripping. I was
Daniel?
like, wait.
Yeah, this is Daniel's, yeah.
So shout out to Daniel, sent us the raw so we can kind of just cut through it. And it's easier when it's on QuickTime too. Like I didn't want to like lower it by like downloading it and stuff like that.
Fair enough. Well, shout out to Daniel. Thanks, Daniel.
So we can actually turn it up here too. So you drew those horses? Just
no, I did. To explain the horse involvement, acceleration, horsepower, horses.
That's why I got the Mustang from like that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right. Some of the clips I may have.
I did watch a lot. Like I've been watching a lot of it lately, but
that
I did
horse
see
I drew, the animated one.
That's sick.
The Accelerate. He goes a lot faster in this video. He's going a lot faster.
Yeah.
Like pedaling a little bit more. You may not have noticed it, but I just like, maybe that's just me, the psychological like effect of like having got you. So yeah.
See, you know what I want to say is like stuff like this where it's like you just jump down that shit. Like I feel like everybody would be like, oh, I don't want to bar it. I don't want to do anything. I'm not going to jump it. And I think I think it's just sick. Like you're like, fuck it. I did a clip up. Like let's just fucking send it down. You know.
I mean, ultimately, referencing the conversation we had earlier, it's however you feel in the day.
Yeah.
You know, not every day is going to be that I'm going to do the craziest thing I've ever done today.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you're just feeling good. All right, I went up it. Shit, I might want to jump down it. Let's jump down it, you know? And if you want to go later and do a trick down it, that's fine. Or if someone else wants to go and do a trick down it, that's fine too. But for that day and during that span of when you're working on that video, that just tells the story, you know, because I feel like if you sit in the moment chasing what is the hardest thing I can do on this spot every single time, for me personally, I reach a level of burnout.
Yeah.
And I find it that it's way more enjoyable, the entire process, by just being like, hey, I feel like jumping down it. Let's clip it up if we can figure it out later.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Wait, why?
It's so crazy too, like the level of being like riding that you can grind up a big rail like that, then just jump over the whole thing back to flat.
Right.
So wild. Beautiful.
Yes.
That one has a pretty crazy crash. I don't think it was included, but when I jumped to the first double peg, I missed my back peg. So I was in like a crazy unlucky for the majority of the rail. And then I just shoot off into like the invisible chair position off the flat, like over the bottom. Yeah, it was, I wished he included it just because that one was like so crazy, but obviously the video's phenomenal, but that one is just a wild looking fall.
Is that 2 tires?
What camera was this filmed on? Or do you know, or what style is it?
I think I told Zach. Again, dude, I know zero.
I know because it's like boxed out, like the framing of it is like.
Yeah, it's like it's 4.3 kind of.
Yeah,
but
it's a HMC cropped.
Okay. All right.
It's cool, like because like I said, all 3 of the videos have a completely different feel, and I really, really respect fisheye work, and like all 3 of you guys like came with it. Like, I mean, on a different kind of ways too. Like a lot of stuff have to be kind of like composed the same depending on the spot, but like watching is like, oh yeah, they're all crunch berries, like all in there. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like 4.3 is obviously better for BMX because the dudes were tall or standing on a bike, you know, like having wide just means you have to be further away. And it's like, it makes it filming harder when it's 16:9. So 4.3 is like,
especially like big setups. I was just talking to Tony Innes about this because we were talking about filming people like Dennis, or he was talking about Josh Harrington, where they do stuff first try pretty much.
Yeah.
And then when you have more of the boxed framing, it's tighter, but you have the full height scale of it to where it's like best of both worlds for those kind of clips, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It can be frustrating, you know, like if you once you actually like go back to 4.3, you're like, wow, this is so much nicer, you know, but now we just film vertical.
Apparently.
Turn my laptop this way.
Yeah. You gotta turn to, what kind of camera is it that you use?
I have a Panasonic. It's an AC 160.
You gotta turn it Panasonic sideways, so it'd be like an iPhone vertical, right?
He's done it. He's done it.
Do that.
They do it, yeah.
It works good with the fisheye.
Yeah.
Like Mastroni made a joke about it one, like, I don't know, he was in Utah somewhere, and he was like, you want to film an Instagram video? What, you want me to turn my camera sideways? I was like, you should.
Yeah.
Try
it. I bet that made us
crawl. When you do actual like vertical fisheye, like when you do turn it and you put it on and you look at it on your phone, you're like, what the fuck? It looks insane because your eyes are just so not used to seeing it. You know, like you're like, holy shit. Like so for some reason it has a different feel. Like
you can almost crunch it more. There's just so much vertical space.
I guess. Yeah. Because you're just in there. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 4.3 on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah. So are these clips like you're on a black bike the entire time? I think for both things. How far apart were the 2 trips?
For both of these,
Yeah.
I think I'm on the brown
Are you on
in
brown?
Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one was
beautiful.
like towards, I mean, I guess they were both towards the end
there's
of
brown.
2022, but I would have to say there was probably like maybe a month in between.
Okay, yeah.
The Arizona trip was literally right before I went home for Christmas.
Okay.
Because that was another part, was like what I was talking about earlier about the scheduling, is that I was like giving up a lot of like other things that were going on just to be able to be working on these. Cause I, again, had the idea, okay, like now we need to like make sure that these get finished. So there was like things like, oh, I could have gone home a week or two earlier, but instead, like, I mean, thankfully that we were in Daniel's hometown, so he wasn't away from his family or anything, but we were working on this like right before Christmas time.
Nice.
Dude, this next, oh, never mind.
Obviously, hops.
Yeah,
A well-seasoned spot in Phoenix area.
absolutely. Didn't Corey like tire slid the top of that out of the
Yeah.
quarter? That's
Yeah,
really
which is
cool
insane.
use of
Yeah.
that spot. I like that a lot.
What were you gonna say about this clip? Or is
I
it?
was going to say the other clip at that Kink Trail school,
Oh,
Banks
yeah.
Side, is one of my favorites.
Oh
Just,
yeah.
I thought it was coming up, but it's later.
Oh, it's later.
It's
Okay.
like the start of the second song, I think.
Sorry, fast forwarding. Oh, we're watching pegs again. As my computer gets.
Daniel filmed a lot of your clips riding a scooter, right?
Yes,
That's
all
so
of them.
sick. I could tell, like, I don't know
What?
if
I
that's
feel
the
like
nerd in me when it comes to watching it, but I can tell, like,
Like the sound.
I heard the sound. I was like, oh, that sounds
I love that you
sounds
noticed that
sick. It
stuff.
sounds sick. But like, for anybody that don't know, like, a lot of filmers do use skateboards, and I think it's like the easier way to get closer to the bike and like being able to be versatile. But like,
Mhm.
I have a few friends that ride scooters and a few friends that blade that like film each other, or they like I seen a blader film another blader and a scooter film another scooter, and it's like, oh wait, like this is like a whole different world, because like in the scooter it's like a hybrid. You have like the bars and the board,
Mhm.
and in blading it's like you can just get crazy.
Yeah, I
So
bet, man.
yeah, it's so
I would
sick
love to
he's-
see that. That sounds
Yeah.
insane. Yeah, I mean, he's every fisheye clip that's in this that is both of us moving together was him on his scooter, and it wasn't really too weird, to be honest. Like, it's still pretty silent, just like a filmer skateboard with the big soft wheels on it and stuff like that. And it
so sick.
really worked, man. Again, like, it was definitely Daniel taking a chance on me, kind of taking a step out of his realm to come into mine. And I mean, obviously anybody in action sports in urban terrain are a fan of spots. So like, we were always nerding about spots. So it just kind of worked. We were like, oh dude, I've been seeing this spot. Like, let's go to it, see if we could get something, you know? So it was just cool to do that.
Was there elements of that where like if he was showing you a spot and it was like something you hadn't seen before because it just like BMXers in that area just didn't know about it, or like
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there was also like, it was both ways,
Yeah.
you know, where I was like, hey, like this is something that we would ride, and you'd be like, oh, I never really thought about like using it that way,
Yeah.
and vice versa, you know? So it was cool to kind of have that element and that learning curve of being like, oh, well, like I was teaching him some things about BMX that maybe he didn't know. And obviously he was teaching me so much about scootering that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So it was just really cool to kind of have that chance to like get to know somebody new through us sharing the love for the thing that we do, because ultimately spots is what brings us all together, you know? I mean,
It's not that much different when you boil it down.
yeah, exactly.
Don't box yourselves in, people.
Was he ripping the spots? Like, was he getting in on the session?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was
Nice.
definely, when the camera was down, like he was definitely getting
Is
involved.
it looks like it's dropping frames right now, isn't it?
It does.
Yeah. We'll take a. All right. See, now we're back, right? That looks
Yeah.
good. All right.
frames are popping now.
All right. Sorry about that. It was driving me crazy.
No, you're good.
Was that one?
That was the scooter drop.
Yeah, that
Well,
was
Yeah.
which is sick, because it's like
Now I wanna
mind
watch
you,
it again.
He's not filming with a gimbal, which is showing how like and none of you guys are. So it's like having a steady hand. I know camera size has a lot to do with it, on the sense of like stabilization. But when he laid the scooter down and like walked over, because he did it in one of the other clips. I think the first one, when you whipped over the rail, he like moved over and walked back and like framed it up, and it's like, oh, that's so sick, because it's super raw. And even with this one, he like turned, put the scooter down, and like framed up the 180 feet full cab, and it's like, Dang. That wall is slanted too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that one like kind of difficult too because of that?
And skinny. A little bit. It definitely locks in pretty good. The ledge is a little rounded, but another similarity through them all is that trick. Each video, Retaliate, Accelerate, Incinerate has.
Okay.
That I don't really want to claim that was on purpose, but that one I didn't really mind because each one had a different use. First one, long hold, and then spin. That one was in a line. And then the one that I filmed in Incinerate with Zach was probably the tallest of them all. So
and super quick in and out where you're like in, pop.
Yeah, and I guess the spot, you remember, was like my tire was hitting. We'll get into it, but yeah, that one was specific in its own way.
And was it daytime or night?
Night. Yeah. And raining.
Oh, I saw a little bit of water. Like, okay, now.
Yeah, I have a fun story for that one.
All right, sick. Heavy.
Off the board.
A little daredevil moment off the roof. So this spot was like I guess not right down the street, but I passed it a lot going to other spots, like from my Airbnb to like, I guess the area that more of the spots we were riding were in. And I just kept passing it and I was like, let's just stop. Like we were on our way out and I was like, let's just stop and look at it because there's something to be done here. And I rode up the tall Jersey barrier and just did the tires to drop once. And I was like, going back to this conversation we had earlier, I was like, is it a thing? And I was like, it just needs a little something else in my head. So I was like, well, there really isn't much else. Like there isn't necessarily enough of a curb because it has the like handicap ramp. So I can't like manual up the curb, tires, and then tires again. I was like, I guess I'm going to manual up the Jersey barrier to it. Yeah. And then that made the, like, I guess my level of intimidation from the spot go from like a medium to like high because now I'm having to like manual into this.
It definitely gets real.
Ride. Yeah. Well, and mainly just because it's like quick, like my front tire is like heading straight for that like bent part.
Yeah. There's no kind of like room for like a full on balance and like, all right, I'm locked in. It's like straight to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Boyle Heights.
The Mariachi Park. Yeah.
It's a stage around there.
Yes, exactly. Right the stage. And then there's that like left side up ledge deal.
Beautiful.
This spot we probably spent 2 hours digging it out. It was pretty warm that day too. It was in December, but it was pretty warm and we dug out. So like the whole bottom part looked like, I mean, I guess that would be a foot of sand.
Oh, that is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And you can see on the bank that I like dove into, you can see how high up it was. Yeah. So we were like digging and sweeping and I thought it was going to happen quick, but no, it took forever. And then we had to ride it. So that was kind of a wild one that day.
Into the pocket. That's so sick.
And this, I guess, would be a prime example of what we were talking about earlier, like letting the spot sort of do more of the riding, just because like if I were to drop off any sooner, I was going to drop down into the pit. So being able to hold the ice across and then diving into the thing was kind of like the completion of the trick. So to some, it might look just like an ice pick across, but like when you really take in the entire spot, that was sort of speaking the, oh, well, if you just grind across and make it to the other side, then that was the completion of the clip.
Yeah.
Spot that keeps on giving.
Right.
Yeah, man.
To a person that has the ability to keep on That's so sick, man.
I mean, this is a Arizona staple. You know, we've seen it in video parts for years. And it was just cool to kind of get something on there again, because I think my last clip there was in my Welcome to Volume video, like years and years ago, maybe 2013. So like it was cool to kind of revisit it with new eyes and see if there was something to do that was a little bit different than what I had done before.
That's sick. Beautiful.
Yeah. What about, I mean, that's just unexpected, I guess, is maybe the
spot use.
Yeah. So that one is, that's to your point earlier. That was a spot that Daniel showed me that I guess he knew that it was like a 6 spot, but like, I want to say that his homies don't usually session this particular spot at this school. So when he took me there, he was like, this is what we session, but this is here. Like, do you have something for this? And I was like, yeah, I would only want to ride this.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So yeah, just a unique spot. And that's kind of what's been catching my eye more lately. And the same can be said about this. Just something that's like a little bit more unconventional than the typical down rail or down ledge sort of thing. Not that that stuff isn't cool. And I have so much respect for the people that do ride that stuff. But for me and where I'm at right now, I'm definitely sort of gravitating more towards the weird and awkward sort of setups and seeing what can be done versus what's the craziest thing I can do here.
Right.
Yeah.
Keeps it fun and challenging in a creative way.
I like that second to last clip for that reason, because everyone rides the lateral ledges and then you rode the ledge to rail, which I haven't seen anyone hit there. This clip.
This
like
was
finding a more of an unconventional setup where everyone else rides that other section of the park.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that is actually the first clip we got together.
Really?
The whole project.
Oh, really?
That's sick.
Nice.
Crunch berries with the one.
Yeah,
That was.
He
that's
Daniel's
so
term for like getting in there is he's saying his wrist is greased, like he's got a greased wrist. So that's like before any time he was filming, he was always like doing like this, like warming his wrist up, and like
sick.
so it's just funny. Like,
the creased
he's
wrist.
like, yeah, I'm greasing the wrist up.
Greasing the wrist.
Is this in the broom is a pony reference?
Yeah, no, it's
Well, that was good.
Yeah, it could be. I was using it more like a witch's broom, but to each his own, man. It's your own creative perspective, you know.
That's. I mean, I'm not trying to give the spot away, but that's a pretty sick drive. War paint drive. I was
So
like,
good.
Live there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that
a
the
lot
same
of-
ditch or no? From the one you guys dug out?
No, different one. But I mean, for those of
Pause
you
the
who haven't,
video.
for those of you who haven't ever been to Arizona, there's thorns everywhere,
Yeah.
and you can get a flat tire before you even look at the spot.
Yeah.
So the broom was a very useful tool, which many people have brought before. But I will say this: if you're ever going to ride ditches or street, and you haven't
Broom
been
is
to Arizona,
clutch.
bring a broom, because
Yeah.
we were sweeping and shoveling everything. Because just in these spots, you can see at the bottom there, I like swept out a little dry patch because there was kind of some like wet dirt. But yeah, and on top of that, just making sure like I wasn't getting flat after flat at all these spots.
So good. I have a soft spot for the Pace Hard 5 with Broc.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's hyped to see that.
He was the first to ever do it. And I think that to see that how you fine tuned it, because I remember like you did it on the most difficult setup. But that's how things happen whenever they've never been done. So I can only imagine like the mental battle to go through like doing that particular trick at that time period and never seeing anybody do it before. So it's like, tell me that from then until now, like going into this, did you think about that?
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
you've done them since, but like I haven't seen one from you in the streets in a video.
Correct.
So let's hear it.
You can say it, dude. The first one was not that good looking.
No, I think the
With
first one was great. I think it was how it was supposed to be because it's such a new thing and haven't been done. But I think that's kind of like bending or warping the capability of people with tricks. So once you did it and then people saw that it was possible, then the door just opened up. And then now to see it how many ever years later, that was like what, 2014, 13?
Yeah.
No, 2013. Somewhere
Was that
around
the
there.
Finer things.
The finer things, yeah. To 2023.
Should we look at the finer things one for those that haven't seen it? It's where you kind of do the big hop out, right?
Yeah, I do a correction hop in, and I'm fully down
Yeah.
to say that on camera. It's very blatant, but that's the reason why this one is in there. Like I know that I'm not reinventing the wheel having the hard 5 in my video parts now, but for me, again, it was just a nice accomplishment for myself personally to have one included in a video part that I land smoothly.
There it is.
Yeah, it was hyped.
So you opened the door, man. You opened that door.
And
like,
I mean, I
was
don't
pretty
know
much
if I
over.
can make the claim, that this was the first one ever done. But during that time, I wasn't really seeing too many other people do it. So I was kind of navigating that whole situation without much know-how and just sending it. So, I mean.
And you're saying the setup was horrible because he basically did like an overgrind.
no, like I'm only saying it was like bad only because like the rail is long and probably using what's at hand. You know, it's like this rail seemed to be right and it was the perfect spot for the trick at the time. So it's like me saying it's horrible because of like what I've seen now. You know? So it's like that's only compared to like I know there's other spots, and it was probably like, well, I'm here, I'm feeling it, I'm down to give this a go. So that's what that turned into. But it's like I'm sure on a few of those tries, you end up doing like pegs hard 3 ice, like from hitting the kink on the rail. Like it's just showing how like hard it is because you have to like almost do an overgrind or like thread just to go up the rail. You can't really come from the side and like maybe torque it. But yeah, man, it's like I saw this and was like instantly just reminded of that. It's like, oh, he made it happen. Like he's the first to ever do it, but also to fine tune it. Like that's sick.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Fine tune it from the finer things.
Ooh,
hey, whoa!
Hey.
Look at all these tie-ins, man.
Right?
It's crazy. Yeah, so it was just definitely a cool feeling to have one in the bag that was landed solid. And included in the video.
It's always funny. It's always funny to see the clip. There's like no music, or like there's no time. You know, like all right, now why?
Yeah, right. No, it's some funny B-roll.
A little bit of personality in there.
And it was cool because like we definitely had more of a playful dynamic between him and I, where we were joking, cracking jokes, being funny the whole time.
Yeah,
that was across the board with Grant, Daniel, and Zach. But like Daniel just showcased it in this one. With me being a goofball while in the middle of trying to get a clip. I would have to say that is my second favorite clip I've ever filmed.
That's
in
really
my life. Yes.
Wow, that's so good.
Mainly just because the spot is a little difficult to ride, and I'm not the first person to ever do something here. I shout out to Mark Burnett, did something insane there before as well. But just to utilize this spot in a creative way and just to get that done, was something that I was super stoked on. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to pull it off. Like this was one of those days where I was like, hey, we're going to go try this. And I'm just going to do it until I don't have any energy left and see what happens. And
it looks beveled too, like on both sides, like almost a peak in the middle of the down part.
I think a little bit
like rounded over almost.
Pretty flat, I think, especially at the top part. But I've been there many times with Zach too, and we've tried stuff for hours. So it's one of those spots that just looks cool to me. It's bright blue on light concrete, visually pleasing for me at least, and just a spot that I wanted to revisit and get something, something that I was proud of again.
It looks like it felt fucking amazing. It looked like it was like one motion that just carried through. You know,
I definitely let out a pretty big scream after the landing of that one.
Hell yeah. One more time.
And it's skinny too, like to go into a blind,
Yeah, exactly. Aiming the manual 180 was the hardest part.
Okay.
Like the G turn was happening, thankfully, with each try, but like getting into the manual 180 was easily the hardest part because I would either go into feeble and like miss, or I'd be on the edge. So to have it line up to where I could get a good like carve and like use the most real estate on the bottom part, like the downslope, was like probably what was taking the longest of anything. Was just being able to snap the 180.
Like this is one of my favorite clips in the part.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it was. The first one I filmed was with you in the Welcome to Sunday video, and it was a trick that I definitely wanted to revisit again. But it was
on
nice.
The yellow rails, right?
The
flat bar, like out of
I think they're white.
White on the flat bar over. Correct. Fakey again, right?
Yes, exactly. And so this one, I just wanted to still utilize the trick, but just like in a different way. And when we went to that spot originally for this clip, and then the hanger 360 to whip over was just kind of like a residual of us just being there and kind of just riding the spot and seeing what felt good that day.
Yeah.
I think it's such a different motion too, like coming back into the bank, not going to fakie. It's like the same trick, but a different application of it.
I would have to agree. And it almost lends its hand to work a little bit better for the way that the trick works, because going into a bank, when you do the trick, it almost stuffs you into the front of your bike.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you go back into a bank, then that like just puts all your like forward momentum just to ride down the bank, versus when I was doing it over, I had to kind of keep myself in a neutral position, or else I would do that. I would like nosedive into the flat bottom, which doesn't feel good when you're not expecting that.
Yeah.
It would almost like crumble my arms, like on the one that I filmed with him. Like it would like make my arms like buckle.
Stoked to see you ride this spot.
So sick.
Another spot we swept and dug all the mud out, but I still ended up face planting into the mud. Or I guess my chin made contact, but most of my like collarbone and shoulder did. And it's in some nasty ditch. So I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't really know what I'm shoveling. I called it dirt, but that was some
stuff.
Biological matter.
Some neurons.
Yeah.
Another spot that keeps on giving.
Yeah, definitely hyped to get that one done. That was one I had been thinking about for a long time, just knowing that spot was there and seeing it over the years. And it's, I was happy that we were able to pull it off that day, because I think in one of the clips before, like
truck guy.
Yeah, truck security guy pulled up, because there's like a pretty poppin' little restaurant area right there. And there was plenty of people walking around, and the truck guy didn't really like it too much. And we were like, hey, can we just get like a handful of tries and we'll be out? And he was like, sure. But like when I come back, you know, the typical, when I come back, you got to be gone. I was like, well, great. Here we go. Try this scary ass shit, you know, and now we have like a short window, but I was thankful to walk away with the clip on that one.
Couple of 180 warm-ups and then spin the 3? Or is it?
Yeah, I think it was wall rides. And then I did a couple 180s for Daniel to get his angle right. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to do the 360. Yeah. And I think it was maybe 2 360s. Man. One of them I landed a little too back tire heavy. I mean, that's just kind of the way the trick puts you. But one of them was like a little bit too much like tire tap.
Oh, okay. So you rolled away, but not quite on
like, see how like that one, and then go forward. The other one was like less rotation. So I kind of like pivoted on the ground.
Yeah. Unacceptable.
Yeah.
Love the horse reference.
Right.
The acceleration. So yeah.
Beautiful.
That one, I like the simplicity of this one, but in the back there is like a very high dollar resort. And this is around the bend behind a tree. So the security can't see us, but the people walking into the resort can. So we only got a few amount of tries. That's why I'm running.
Oh yeah. You could see the security guard hustle.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly. Because like each time someone goes in to check in, we're just sitting there next to the rail and they're like, hi. And we're like, hey, we're just hanging out here.
Are they going up the stairs? Or
they're going up the stairs to go check into the hotel. So people are in the parking lot checking in, like to go check in. So they're like, and we're like, man, we got to get to it before like whatever the typical hotel check-in time. I think it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like that, right?
And so we're there at like 2:30 setting up, and then just it's empty. And then all of a sudden it just opens up the floodgates and more people come in. So there's just like groups of 5, 10 people walking up, and we're just like sitting there like, oh, we're just hanging out right here. Like I'm on my bike. He's like pointing the camera at me, like trying to like get some B-roll. And I'm just like, we're going to get kicked out like so soon. So yeah, that one was just cool to get, because we didn't know if we were going to walk away with the clip that day or not. Because it's like right in front of the like main building.
That's obviously insane for that place. Like nobody's done that, obviously, to your knowledge.
To my knowledge, no. I checked with quite a few locals to make sure, and I watched video after video, and just because obviously never want to step on any toes, especially out of town like that in
such a spot that's been used so much. But yeah, it's like a lot of digging you got to do to like find, because like when I first saw it, I was like, dang, nobody's done that, huh? Like I just went down the book and like it's like Rob Wise, like no.
Yeah, that was the first person that came to mind.
Yeah, so it was like scratching them off.
I feel like I'm trying to think. Did somebody do like tires to pegs or something? I know people did like gap to tires from the ledge.
Yeah, I think didn't Dennis do gap tires? No,
maybe. Yeah,
I think Dennis Rob did 180 backwards grind.
180 backwards grind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like one of those things you could do like a documentary on that park, like all the wild shit. Like kind of like a dig hollowed ground type thing. Like we're about that place, and you overshot that thing. Like I mean. Like that's a healthy,
dude. Like,
like you don't want to be any less.
No,
but like that's like
he definitely
he
came
did
on,
it.
yeah.
You know, like it wasn't like.
Well, so the other clip at this spot, the pegs to over to manual 180 was the first clip we got on this trip, just because this was a spot I knew that was there.
Yeah.
And so we went to that, and that day I was like, oh, I think I can do the pegs gap pegs, but I want to wait towards the end of the trip before I start trying something that I could possibly get mangled on. Because the first couple attempts here, I think I did crook / crank arm. And then I did one where like I was in crook, but then my front peg slipped off and like started hitting the middle upright.
Yeah.
So I was like getting real close to getting bodied on it. And so that's where the OJ, or I guess the me solidifying that I was very much so over the rail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to like accelerate at the rail as fast as I could to get the speed. Cause it's kind of a limited run up. Like I had to like hook and then come straight at it.
Yeah. And then the thumbnail. The serious face.
Yeah. Just trying to like tell myself where the thing is. I had some rocks placed up there to like tell me.
Yeah.
But it still was, I mean, it's a bunch of like slate rocks that are like concreted together. So it wasn't exactly like a like straight landing. Like it kind of curved. So like the rocks weren't really helping me. Besides just telling me where to go. So I was just trying to like memorize the landing.
I didn't think about it, but until just now. But it was like the X Games setup. It literally looks like the exact size and distance and everything too.
Wow, that's true.
But not slate.
Yeah, a little bit.
God, just looking at the jagged rocks, I mean, like, fuck me, please just don't.
Yeah,
99.999% I'm chilling, but don't give me that one.
Don't,
or just
bar spin,
the Smith slip or the feeble slip. You're not sliding. Like that's dead stop. You know, and then you're up on something. So obviously all those thoughts come through your head. So that's, I guess, me assuming from Daniel's side of things, that's why he wanted to showcase me up there, like analyzing, because I definitely didn't want any of the fearful things to happen.
Is it a rest stop? It looks like a rest stop.
Camping thing?
Okay.
No, right. I mean, there's bathrooms there. I guess what would that be considered? It's
like it looks like one of those like Arizona, like off the freeway where they have vending machines and bathrooms,
right,
and stuff like that. That's what it looks like.
Camping's not the right word. It's like a park, like where you can go on a walk from there. Start there where there's tables,
like a trail type thing.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Trailhead.
All right.
Also, shout out to Alex Platt who did the drop in.
That's right.
10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at those in the background, like, oh, you're talking about just the drop in on the roof. I thought I was talking about the triangles in the background. I was like, did he roll into those?
No, I was a little late with that. Such a good clip.
Yeah, this is Old Faithful once again.
Not really.
Nah,
that's a different.
Yeah.
You can't lean over on that either. You've been taken off because of the L.
Yeah.
Then you have to go fast enough to clear it. Like it's a lot of body movement within, because like you can't torque it too much, right?
No, I mean, this was completely foreign to me. We went there originally with the idea just to hard 180 over it. And I was just riding the high of getting the hard 180 because I was equally stoked on that. But then it was just feeling so good that I was like, let me just spin one. Like, let's just see. I'm just going to send it. And so he was like, all right. And so he just got back. He was filming it. He was actually standing in the back of my truck for this angle.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets back up there and I just turned around and this was the first one I spun, which is the explanation for the celebration post.
Yeah.
And we were both so ecstatic that it worked.
Dude,
beautiful.
Hell
yeah. It looks great. Your peg hooks the L.
Because it popped.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't feel that.
That's
I didn't
crazy.
That till now.
Gunk.
But I'm glad that didn't turn out in any other way than what's shown on the screen. But I was just hyped to use.
You must have been so light on it, anyways, at that point. Like the peg, so when it hit, it just like glided right over.
I was going so fast because I wanted to spend the least amount of time on the rail, and I wanted to make sure that while I was spinning, I was like traveling. I didn't want to like be coming down from the 270 side of the 360, like looking at the rail under me, because I feel like that would freak me out.
Yeah.
So, but that was just utilizing that trick in a different way that I
definitely not Old Faithful. That is a whole other different trick, you know.
Well,
like
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a flat. I mean, it was more flat than anything else. Where it's like the Old Faithful is like a torqued, you know, rocket boost of a spin, you know. So
the penciled out version.
No, I mean,
well, I guess for the overhard.
Yeah.
You know, like when I like pencil out, like to get the spin going.
Yeah.
That was so perfect.
Yeah.
Another staple Arizona spot, Deck Park. There's been plenty clips done here over the years. I think mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Started their entire video. Was it the first one?
Yeah. All the
party line.
The party line. So shout out to Bob and them. And yeah, this was one took quite a while. This was the only spot we went to that day.
Yeah.
Was here just to get away from that little ledge.
Okay.
Was eating me alive.
That one.
Yeah. I landed it.
Wow.
Twice
yeah, it's a lot closer
before that. Where I like was back tire on the little ledge and my front tire down. And I was just like, I know I can do it and miss it. Like I just have to be a little bit more leaning like the other way, which would be my left in this situation. But yeah, it worked out. And that was a celebration of a really tired human being because I was getting towards the end of like my arms not being able to get me anywhere close to getting into the fakey ice up the rail.
That's
so
insane.
good.
I love the single hit last clip where you think maybe you're going to see another angle of the Pex Hard 3 and then this comes in. You're like, yo, what's coming?
Would you have accepted the tire bonk on the side ledge if you had to?
It was slow.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so thankful for this one was like the way I came out gave me just enough speed to continue rolling away at that rate rather than having to pedal. I don't think I would have taken the one where I was back tire on the little ledge and my front tire off because like I was landing completely like way too slow. It was almost like a stall at that point. Yeah. Like I would have had to like do that little thing where you can twitch your front wheel side to side to like give you the momentum to move forward. And then more graphics that I drew, I tried to make those look like an old car.
Yeah.
Like the old car stuff.
Yeah. And dead on, spot on, bro. Like
thank you. I appreciate that. I shout out to my dad, honestly, because when I was drawing those, I probably rang his phone off the hook, sending him the like logo over and over again to be like, does this look like it? Does this look like it? Does this look like it? And he was like, dude, it looks fine. Just stop.
Are these Daniel's friends, those guys?
Yes, absolutely. That's Nolan Shoemaker. And that's, sorry, T Kush. I forget your real name, but that's T Kush behind him.
Nice.
Cool.
That's sick.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Retaliate. It's crazy.
Fuck.
He named it wrong. I just want to point out, let's look right here. The guy that made the video named it wrong. Fair enough. So I
understand it gets confusing.
Oh, man. Okay. Sorry, I restarted. So now I'm lost here. Can I go? I want to go get some water.
Me too.
Yeah. Anybody else need anything? You want a snack? All right. We are back. So is Rue. And sorry, I had to take a little water break there. I started to realize I was getting a little moving around today, getting the dehydration headache. I was like looking at everybody else's water and I was like, fuck. So 2 parts down, 1 to go. We're doing good on time.
Sick.
So I was like, we got a lot of bike riding to go through. So I'm glad we kind of fired through everything for the most part here. So final video part. So I guess, do you have a favorite? Because let me preface this with, because we were talking about the video part list. Somebody brought up like, hey, Jordan Godwin has like 3 parts. Broc has 3 parts. Like, do we pull one of the parts down? He was like, oh, maybe we should pull down Incinerate. And I was like, Incinerate's the best one, I thought. And he's like, I know, I like the first one, which I already forgot. Not accelerate, reinstate, retaliate,
reinstate,
regurgitate, elevate. And so I was like, well, that's why they're all on the list. You know, like I feel like everybody has,
face.
Right
there.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
yeah, right.
Everybody has, I would assume, their own favorites. Do you have a favorite?
I don't.
Dude, Zach's not here. Just pretend Zach's not here.
Yeah, I love them all for specific reasons. For me personally, I just was really stoked to pull this entire project off, as we talked about in the beginning.
You probably look at it as a whole project.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, once we all kind of came to the agreements that it was going to be an entire cohesive thing, that's when it really kind of became to what I referred to as an entire project, like the whole deal. So I love them all, man. I enjoyed my experience and will continue to enjoy filming with all these dudes, and they all killed it. And yeah, I don't really have one where I'm like, oh, this is my favorite, or this is the hardest one, or this is the lightest one. And like, I don't know. I'm thankful. Again, that's the only word that comes to mind when I talk about it, because I understand that this was a crazy thing to try to pull off. And I approached these dudes with this wild idea, and the fact that they were down to support that with me is just, again, I'm just grateful.
Cool. What about in the sense, since I brought up Nora Cup, what about in this, people probably don't like to talk about it, but people put effort into things, like there's, I call it Nora Cup season, where it's like, oh, when are you guys doing voting? Like stuff like that I get asked that by a few people, because it's like in consideration. Do you think it helps you? Do you think it hurts you? Like in a sense of like not having one part, like even with the idea that sometimes even just a nomination is like, is great to get, where it's like, but if you're splitting your votes between three parts, like.
Yeah. I mean, that is, you make a fair point. For me personally, I think this whole project was just geared around, I was filming with Zach, and then I had been talking about filming with Grant. And then as I explained before, the Daniel video came in, and I just wanted to deliver the entire thing as like this overall project to where like it gets people hyped to go out and ride and do their thing. And I also wanted to release it in a way where it like felt cohesive, but it wasn't like at any way like trying to pressure people into feeling a certain way about my efforts in the year, like it was just like, yo, this is what I've been working on this year. I've been putting in a lot of effort with this shit, and here it is, and everybody can take what they want from that. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Nora Cup is always a little weird, it's in the mist in a lot of ways, sometimes how people vote, but yeah. So, all right. I don't have an answer or a follow-up question or anything.
Yeah. I mean,
Demo?
No. I think I gotta get distracted with the cat.
Yeah, sorry. Cat can be a little irritating.
Actually, you can go ahead and press play, but with the Nora Cup and the voting stuff, I think it's pretty cool that like your parts did drop right now, and I think it makes it more like things to strive for if guys are coming up and like want to put out parts, and if they strive to have like accolades and any kind of like sort of within BMX, and like Nora Cup is like one of those things that I know as a kid I like always want to be involved in, but I know that it takes it doesn't just happen overnight, but also
protect your water. Oh, it's over.
Yeah. So, yeah. but basically, to me, what having three parts come out back to back to back, and the time frame they came out in, I'm almost sure you didn't plan for it to come out at this particular time, but like with it being around this time, I think it's super crucial, and I think it's super cool because I think it just solidifies you more as a professional. Like I really take the professional card very seriously because I think it gives you something to work towards. Like when you're coming up in the BMX world or any kind of profession that you're like, you put work in to be, but also like with the 3 videos and having those votes, like you said, maybe separated or like kind of going into a category, but it do shows like it add more to the catalog of you as a rider. So
I mean, that was I was having a leading question. I was looking for Broc to say, well, yeah, but also maybe it'll help me for Street Rider. Maybe it'll help me for Rider of the Year. You know, like putting out 3 video parts in a year is absolutely incredible. There's only a couple people that ever do that ever in their entire life. And you have like anomalies like Mickey Fleck, who seems to do it every single year somehow, but it just seems like he's just out there. Like he's riding with his best friend who's his filmer every single day. Yeah. You know? So I mean, it's an astonishing feat, you know. So while it may hurt you in one category, maybe it elevates you in another.
Also too, like I look at all the cross branding too. Like you didn't do like, I think the first project was just you and Grant, and it didn't have a place. None of your sponsors was connected to it. Then the second one was that Accelerate. Then the third one, Incinerate, and that one was for Odyssey. Was Accelerate for Sunday?
No, Accelerate was with Our.
Our. I was gonna say. So basically, you're touching a lot of different places that you're involved with, and it just like cross promoting. So it kind of like just like I said, just contribute to your catalog as a writer to me, and it just solidify like that professional aspect. And it's like to me just showing how progressive and how like active and like productive all of you guys are, and which is a lot of pro guys are like that. But I think that it's so easy to get caught up into like the day to day with social media stuff, which is pretty much very important to like the current day coming up as a professional in general, which is a huge plus. But like being able to separate and still to produce on that level, it's like, wow, like that's so sick. Because I think that a lot of writers still kind of hold on to the social media as in like just a safe way to like just stay relevant to a degree, which is completely fine, but don't really find time outside of that to kind of like go out and film a clip that, because I mean, all of it is real, but like to have the clips that you save and compartmentalize and put them in different places. So yeah.
Compartmentate.
Yeah.
Every word.
he was like separate, and I was like, there's one.
That is a buzzword now, right?
Well, are you gonna be mad when Demarcus comes out with 5 video parts in a month?
No,
that'd be next year. It won't be. So I can't. I don't compete in any of this. So it may not be 5, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys both for the super positive words. That means a lot to me coming from you both. You know, and I mean, my main goal with releasing all 3 parts in the way that we did, obviously, was to deliver it as a package. But I felt like it was received because so many riders and people that did watch messaged me and were like, dude, like I'm so hyped to go out and ride right now.
Yeah.
And that above anything else is why I put the effort in that I do, because all I could want from someone watching my video, even a second of it, is to feel that feeling of like, oh, I can't wait to go ride my bike now and do the same shit that we're all doing, right? Just chasing that next trick, that progression, pumping a bowl, grinding down a rail, whatever it is, like that is what I wanted to instill in people, and showcasing that between 3 separate projects filmed by 3 separate filmers, and receiving the positive feedback and receiving those messages just like kind of furthers my love for it. And it makes me want to do it again. Like, yes, it was a lot of hard work. Yes, it was stressful as hell. And it felt awkward for me asking all these dudes to put their time and effort into this weird thing that I was trying to curate. But at the end of the day, like just to, again, receive that sort of message from anybody, kid, dad, whoever's involved in BMX, just being like, oh, I'm so stoked to go ride now. I just watched it before. Now I'm going to go work on tail whips, bar spins. Like that, it could be one person. Like that is just all I would ever want. And to Ryan's point earlier, like if that does sort of help in any way, you know, elevate me towards, you know, receiving some sort of award or nomination for that, then like, so be it. You know, but and I'm very appreciative of that. But you know, above all of that, but above all that, man, like I want to see other people out there enjoying riding their bikes, and people showing up to events and just being stoked on what we're doing. You know, and I mean, you know, you guys do that all the time. You guys put on these events and build ramps and allow BMX to come together purely based off of love of it, to have people come be stoked. Yeah, you know, and I feel like that's what it's about, and that's what will always be about. And I love just seeing that continuing to happen in the community that have a very small involvement in it.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
All right. Final video.
Incinerate.
Incinerate.
By the man himself, Zach Krejmas.
Anything you want to say, Zach, before we start?
Well,
What's it like filming with Broc? Is it like compared to, you know when you're going to go out with somebody, what the day's going to be like? What's a day going to be like when Broc is like, hey, let's go film?
It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
This guy has spots already in mind where like I will suggest things, but he's not relying on me to take him to where his clip is going to be. He usually has stuff in mind, and then he's definitely very calculated. And a lot of times I feel like I have a lot of confidence. I know that he's gonna, not to say that Broc doesn't step out of his comfort zone, but I also just feel like he knows where his skills are. And then I have just tons of confidence in what he's doing. So I'm able to just kind of like focus in on what I'm doing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So sick.
Yeah.
And then trip wise, obviously there's some Philly stuff, some New York stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously Southern California. Is there anywhere else that
was it?
Nope. I think, yeah. I guess that would be another, across the board was all Southern California at some point, and then Accelerate, Phoenix, and then our video was New York.
Okay. And then, well, we're about to see the opening clip, obviously, is one of those things that you probably drive by about 600 times.
Yep. It's on my route to go get groceries every single
It has to be. It's the only way that you would do this.
Yeah. And I know earlier I prefaced the clip from Accelerate being my second favorite clip ever. This is my favorite clip I've ever
It is so
filmed.
It is so good.
It's one of those everyone that goes there is like, imagine.
It is very hard to ride that. And I'm not gassing myself up, but Zach was there with me watching me figure out how to not have that doorknob murk my life every time I went to wall ride.
That's a little slow-mo.
Also, the way the ledge is
the ledge is awkward.
Get on the way up into a hop.
Yeah, look, you kind of purpose case it almost like.
You used every inch.
Yeah,
of that.
you make sure you go front back so you get more of the ledge.
Yeah, because there's no room because I had to utilize, you kind of see it like swoops a little bit, and I needed that to get me high enough on the door to miss the doorknob. Because if I missed that opportunity, it would roll and then throw me right into the doorknob every time. And I would either front wheel bonk it, my back wheel would get caught on it. And the times that my back wheel did hit it was the clip before where my seat, pretty much gave me a wedgie. And just being able to
so good.
have the vision of the spot work out exactly how I wanted and Zach showcase it in his amazing way is just like that. It will forever be one of my favorites, I think.
It's so sick how you stay on the
sidewalks. Oh my God, that frame is absolutely.
You go back.
It's terrifying, dude.
Imagine what you're feeling right there.
Oh man.
And as a result of tire hitting door handle, that like kind of pausing me for a second, and then I'm trying to dive. So now I'm diving into the stairs and my feet blow off. Oh. And then just see straight.
Oh no.
And, yeah, dude. And that was not.
And then look at homie's face.
I mean, look how high it jacked my pants up, dude. It shows you how far my seat went up my ass, dude. That's Mikey, dude. He knows.
I know, that was terrible.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think favorite clip, like for me too. Like it's just, I could see it. I instantly knew the story of like, you have driven by that hundreds of times. Like it's just the only way you would ever do something like that.
Got tired of looking at it, man.
Yeah.
And I still see it today.
Of course.
I still pass by.
But you could look at it like, you could look at it differently. Like, got it. I won.
Dude,
you know?
Yeah, but it still just drives me nuts looking at it. It's like, dude, I gotta go like put like some like spikes on it or something. I'm just so like, it's there because it's like it bypasses through all the like traffic spots for me to get to where I'm going. So I'm like, oh, there it is again.
God, happiness.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
There it is. Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame you one bit.
Big hop, Broc.
This might have been one of the first clips we filmed.
I think so.
Yeah. Yep. We started shortly after Strike filming.
And then obviously with the music, it's like a dark, like kind of a dark, the Deftones song, obviously. So like, I liked that this is like just that broody look right here of go ahead. You can speak anytime you want. We don't have to raise hands.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that's what we do on this podcast.
Run it back to the first clip one last time.
Yes.
The run up.
Yeah, the run.
Demarcus might nerd out on this.
Oh yeah, let me see it.
It's after this, I think. Yeah. All right, you can just play it there for a second. Look at the car that passes by.
That's amazing.
Serendipitate.
Yeah.
Accelerate, man.
Yeah, the horse on the Mustang.
No, serendipitous.
That was that was not planned. But when that pulled up, I was like, no way.
That's sick.
Dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just.
So this is the last one. So that means that the Mustang is behind you. So accelerate to incinerate.
All right.
Transitioning.
Yeah. The Mustang is a paid actor.
Right.
I knew I was going to land in it. We said, yo, drive by real quick.
It's actually CGI.
But also, shout out to Zach on the Incinerate. The solar flare happens on, like, I guess, on beat with the song. And I really like that a lot.
So sick.
Yeah, at one point I had the title intro earlier in the video, and then it just felt so much better once the song kicked in. All the energy there.
Is that the same? That's the same spot, the bar in, bar out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with stuff like this, okay, so this is in which clip was filmed first?
Bar in, bar out.
Okay, and then so did he know that Grant filmed it long?
I had no idea that clip existed.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
yeah.
See, that's what I mean. Like stuff like that is like an interesting like dynamic of how riders choose, how filmers choose stuff and stuff like that.
But absolutely, I guess for me and the person that I am, like, I don't necessarily want to show up to that spot and be like, guess what I did here?
Yeah.
You know, like, so, I mean, if for whatever reason, a situation were to unfold and that conversation had to happen, then I'm happy to say it. But in that situation, like, I mean, if he would have asked like, hey, you been here before, you done this? I'd be like, yeah, this happened. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel the need to tell people what I've done, you know, out of context.
But I guess
it could unconsciously, like I think Zach brought it up earlier, like watching it could probably unconsciously influence the way you do it. So I think like if he did know, it probably will kind of like psychological, like, well, maybe I should do it like this. But him not knowing at all, he naturally reverted to
would just do his thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I need to nail that in. Like if you're working on something and it's like, and people have gone down the same path and stuff like that. Like everybody's basically done everything at this point.
Yes.
Like don't go around and be like, oh, has anybody done this? Like, has anybody done that? Like, don't look and just do your thing. And then just say, I didn't look because I wanted to just do it however I wanted to do it. You know, like, cause
to a degree.
When you're a creator, I mean, in a sense, like, of course, you know, like, but when you're a creator, it's like, you could just go down a fucking rabbit hole and just never make any progress because of you get too caught up in what other people are doing. You know,
similar when you get to a spot and then you hear the whole trick list and then your brain, you can't even like think your own vision. You have all the other in there.
Even a podcast. It's like not like you know, if we're gonna do a podcast, like sometimes I don't even listen to what other people, you know, like sometimes I do because I feel like I don't know enough, but then other times I'm like, I know this dude, we can do this. And I'm like, I'm not going to listen to other podcasts because I'm going to feel weird, like, oh, talking about something that he already talked about. Like, it's not even going to know. Yeah. Like, no idea. Like, just better that way. In my
if you still want to know, it's probably still a
relative. Yeah. So it's just as like a message for people out there in general. Like it's just, this dynamic is so interesting because he chose, luckily it's different, but I guess in the same sense, if it was like filmed from the exact same angle, like would it be like?
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, but also beyond me and Zach working together on video projects, we're also friends. And being that I'm very familiar with his writing and as he is with mine, I also kind of like it to be a surprise sometimes for him to like go and watch something different that he didn't work on, you know? So again, it's not necessarily me withholding and me being like, yeah, I'm like this mastermind and nobody knows what I'm doing, you know? Like that's not it. But it's also like, hey, like I want to surprise my friend with a trick like the bar in, bar out backlash clip. Like, I feel like that's something very different for me. So that's something that I would want him to watch and be like, oh, that's different for you. And it would be the same for me. Just like when I watched full coverage and I saw all the clips that I wasn't there for, like I was excited because it was new and exciting rather than, you know, me being there for it and being like, yeah, I can't wait to see this, but I'm just kind of watching it all be put together versus like that first watch excitement hits way different, you know? And I think there's something to be said about that. And so that's kind of, I guess what more so my thinking was, rather than like, no, I'm not going to tell Zach. He doesn't need to know.
Yeah, nothing insidious or anything like that.
Chinatown,
baby.
Fire.
Yeah.
You,
Zach, did you film any of this while filming for your part with Scott?
Yeah, definitely. There might have been a day where we even got clips on the same day. There definitely were days.
Is that a hard transition to like kind of be focused on like keeping your mind in the right spot? Because I know like if you guys all like if you and Scott are out and you and Broc are out all together, and depending on who's filming what, so if Scott's getting a clip and Broc can get a clip, and that day you don't, so it's like you're filming everything, but like the day that all three of you guys get a clip and you guys kind of like, is that a hard transition to bounce from rider to videographer? Like, how does that work?
It is for me. Every day's different, where some days you never know when you're going to film in a line for 2 hours. Like, you don't get to decide that. It's just, you got to step up to that occasion when it comes. So some days I'll just be like sore and just not feeling riding. And then other days, like the spot will just speak to me and I know I can do it somewhat quickly. So there were a few clips I got on the same day that Broc got clips. But then other times, Scott and I kind of just had to do our own thing.
Nice.
Did Broc film any clips?
No, the whole thing with Scott and I's video was that it was fully filmed by us.
All right.
What was the last one? Was it Yellow that I filmed the clip in of the Wally gap across the street? And doing that, even those times that like I was able to help Zach out get clips, like that gave me so much perspective of this question that you asked, that I have so much respect for any filmer that can get a clip and film the same day. Because even those times of me holding the camera or having to look through the eyepiece, like it's a lot of work and there's so much going on from someone who doesn't know how to film at all. Me doing all that stuff and think about all that stuff, it is a lot going on, way more than just press record and play with the little crazy button, you know? Like it was like, I would take my eye off the eyepiece and be like, whoa, holy shit, this is what the world looks
recalibrate.
Like.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly that, you know? And
you have like a camera eye and then the real world eye where you like switch back and forth.
Yeah, and it's kind of like off-putting almost. I mean, for me personally, again, not knowing what I'm doing, but I was like, man, I couldn't ride after this for at least like a little bit, or being hunched over, like filming a line for a while, like your arm's tired, your back's hurting. Like, yeah, man, like, dude, props every time, you know, like
nice.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's sick when it works out. But like he was saying, a lot of times I'm just not feeling like at my 100% capable physical self to like get a clip. And I think it's also, I try to do stuff where I'm like bunny hopping over something or wall riding where I'm like, juicing something. So maybe if I was like more of a grind technician, I could dabble more. But I guess I ride, but I like filming clips. And then when I film a clip, it's me trying to like do what I see as my best riding. And then, so it's hard for me to be like, I'm going to do something that I'm super proud of and is hard when I'm tired or mentally fatigued from filming for hours. So like I split it up when I can. But
and you do a really good job of communicating that. Like if we're going to an area where you have a clip in mind, like that you want to get, or like you're interested in something, I feel like you're like, hey, like I want to go try this. Like, do you mind if we?
It's like, a me day.
No, not even. He's like, yeah, welcome.
I can start there though, or on a trip. If I need to get my clip in the first few days, or then by the end of the trip, I'm just like, dude, I'm not feeling.
Yeah.
No, and it's very respectable of that, you know. And it's like, yeah, like let's go get whatever you want, you know. Like you're, you know, you're always behind the camera. Like I'll give you any opportunity you want to be in front of it. You know, I'll do my best. Again, I don't know shit, but I'll be able to, like, I don't have the best greased wrist ever. You know?
Shout out to Daniel.
Mine's a little dry, but
you're good though. You filmed a couple clips and bunched up of me that came out good.
The Wally down the steps, right? Yeah,
definitely.
New York clips, obviously.
This Philly.
That was Philly.
Yeah. All right, my bad.
Storm Door Heaven.
Or this is Jersey now.
Yeah, this is Jersey.
This was actually filmed on the Dots Sunday trip, and we saved this clip.
Okay.
Oh, that's sick.
We just thought the propeller was cool.
The Dots one is where you guys in New York and you use like the subway with the different letters and everything.
Yeah, around Dawn of the Streets.
It was cold. Was it cold then, or was that the?
So I literally thought you meant Dawn of the Streets, like it was like an acronym for Dawn of the Streets.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, we call it that, and then we made our video connect the dots
with the subway stuff. Okay, all right.
But also Dawn in the Streets.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Was that? Is my brain not working? Dawn in the Streets would have happened already, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It didn't, so it's not happening.
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Shout out to Augie for doing that for several years.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a
really
cool ass event. So not easy, I'm sure, you know, so.
The clip before that was another one of those clips where we were like waiting around in the rain all day, like being out on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the last two actually,
Yeah.
you know, like dealing with the weather, but making it work whenever we could. This one as well. Got a couple drops on the lens, but it was just cool because Zach was down to just keep stacking and wait it out as long as we needed to. And ultimately, it's cool to just be hanging out in the streets of New York anyways.
Yeah.
I was hyped on the raindrops on the lens for some of the clips.
That's cool. Sick. Yeah. That's something you don't really get in California. So, one thing I noticed, like kind of and interrupt me if we want to talk about any of the clips, but the theme of the B-roll seemed to be a lot of the just kind of the stranger interactions and just kind of the weirdos that you kind of run into. Where did that come about?
I think just New York, there's so many people everywhere that it just kind of like lends itself to that so well. And then I just had stuff in California. And I think also in my head, I kind of enjoy that type of B-roll. It's a little more authentic than like lining up some shot of the rider in a hallway, or that stuff's all cool too. But and then also I kind of didn't have a lot of the intentionally filmed stuff. And I just wanted to get kind of that life in there.
Sick.
It just kind of showed we were just in the streets pedaling around. How it is out there.
Yeah, I mean, just even like that clip that we just saw where it was like the dude smoking the cigarette, you know, you had a thought to film him for a second, you know, like it adds to it. It's like the little random interactions that you have with people outside of schoolyards.
While you're waiting to ride the spot and the dude's just there.
Yeah.
Definitely a big Strobeck influence. Like all that footage is from New York City and you see so much of that and I love it. So I can't help but like want to fit it into the video in some kind of way.
I want to highlight that I love you, like the way you interact. Well, you interact with people while out filming, and I like how you capture it because I know you guys done it in a few of your videos.
Yes.
No, I want to say I think it was the Welcome to Sunday video. It was like a few dudes around, and you were like dapping them up after getting a clip, and like you could just tell because like if anybody rides street, they know that they're gonna have those kind of interactions, and some people don't respond to them well, and some people just like people are just curious and they want to know what's going on, but they want to also be involved. But like you do a really good job at capturing that, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
trying to do more of it.
It's man, it's one of the most favorite parts about street riding is just like interacting with all those people. And like sometimes it is definitely frustrating having people like there in the way or causing too much trouble. But honestly, if someone's hyped and they just want to dap you up or like talk about what you're doing like that, I think that's one of the like most favorite parts. And on this clip specifically, a dude pulled up to like, I don't know, pick up a homie from that apartment complex across the street. But he like sniper filmed me doing this. And then he was like, and he rolled down his window. He was like, hey. And I was like, oh God, here we go. And he's like, you want this clip? And I was like, what? Yeah. So like, I have the clip on my phone.
That's sick.
Of, like this clip from across the street that he filmed.
Insert
me, like,
clip right here. iPhone clip right here.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right, send it to me. We'll see if we can splice it in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, like I remember of all the people, all the years of like shooting photos and stuff like that, Gabe Brooks hated anybody looking.
Really?
You would think because he's such an outgoing, personable person, if somebody walking across the street, stopping and looking,
he's like, keep it moving,
wouldn't go.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I was so confused because you would never think that.
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
never.
Like,
he was so
some people don't like it. Obviously, if you get a crowd around you and there's a lot of people looking, you're like, I'm chilling until this like settles down. I get, but he was like one person. You know, you'd be like
one stranger.
Yeah, one stranger.
Which he was like,
you know?
That's crazy to me because he was so fun to be around. Like,
like human interactions with Gabe is interesting. Yeah, very animated.
Yeah. So, but rest in peace, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
Fucking
beautiful.
Thank you. Was hyped to get something on the Max Palmer spot.
I think I was talking to Mike Yup about this spot. I want to say the last time I was there with you is when we went to New York, and I think both of us were still on volume. And
this spot right here.
Yeah, that particular spot, and that you talked about doing that You were like, it'd be cool to do the wall ride to grind because I think I was grinding the middle rail. And didn't you do outside grind on like was it in another video? Did you grind the rail itself?
I think while we were there, we filmed an Instagram clip of me maybe double pegging the rail and then going in to the bank. I think
that's what it was. Like you grinded the top into the bank, and I remember you're like, oh, it'd be cool to wall ride to over grind, and it's like to see it in this. It's like, oh yeah, he did it.
Yeah, the Home Depot spot is a staple in the New York scene, and I mean, I don't know, just very different, unusual-ish setup. So I just wanted to capitalize on that and kind of include it in there, as well as this colorful dot spot. I mean, we sat there for a minute trying to figure out something to do on it because it's weird and people destroy it. So
you did a perfect spot for it.
I think it's so sick too how you can have like a goal or vision, and then 10 years later it becomes a reality where you're like, this would be cool, and then you can actually make it happen so many years later.
Yeah,
I would have to agree, absolutely. And sometimes it just takes like that time frame of life when you approach it again to be like, oh, maybe that was a good idea, or maybe that was a bad idea, and that's not going to work out, But I think that just like timeline of like, oh, this could work. And then you come back and you're like, oh, I remember that thought. Yeah, it can. Or what was I thinking? Like it always can go.
It goes both ways. Yeah.
Come back with more wisdom.
This is another spot that I've driven past way too many times. And just on this given day, I was like, all right, I think it's time to go and pay it a visit.
Yeah.
Bro, you did a 180 to 180. That's
crazy. What I was thinking too. Yeah. It looks like the fisheye angle looks like it's just going to be a 180.
Yep.
And then it's like, nope.
The run up was surprisingly way shorter than what I thought. Like from going up the little 2-stair to getting to the rail, because you got to I had to use up all the room on that front porch to get over the rail and get the carve right. So we're like where I was pretty much popping as I was still carving.
And you have that little out right there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like right against the wall.
And then I thought no one was living in there, which is why we were riding in the middle of the day, or at least no one was in there. And then maybe 3 or 4 tries in, the dude just opens the door and looks out and is like, yo, what are y'all doing? And we're like, whoa. And you got homie in the back. What did he
was
say?
A barber, and he wanted us to go do tricks while he had drones flying around. He was going to cut one of our hair for free while we all did tricks around it. He filmed with a drone. We were all going to go viral. That's what he said.
That's what he said. He's just like, we going viral, bro. We going viral. Okay. Dude, he was so down. He was hyped, dude.
I wanted to do something with that clip of him, but the conversation wasn't clear enough.
Yeah.
That was so sick. I like that you utilize both ways on this. So sick.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, shout out to Zach for pairing these two clips together to kind of, showcase the regular and opposite.
Regular Old Faithful and opposite Old Faithful. Half Old Faithful.
Yeah. Left peg, right pegs.
Yeah, that's right.
More rain day stuff?
Yes, another rainy day from this, same day. Shout out to Pee-wee, Christian, our Hornets fan, whatever name you know him by. He's shooting photos that day. He's right there on the left. He'll appear again a little bit later. Zach included a really sick clip of us giving each other a handshake, but that's one of my...
Is it? I think it's raining in the clip. See that? See your elbow right there? There's a raindrop.
Oh, yeah. It's either that or bird shit.
It could be bird shit.
Yeah.
Because he was drying off the top of that, which seemed so slippery.
Yeah.
And the ground's obviously wet.
Hyped on the timing of them.
Yeah, they were real hyped. Because they waited, right? They came out and waited for us to do it. I think I just hopped it once and they were hyped. And then I went back and they were just waiting around the corner to watch me come flying out.
That's sick. Incinerate.
Fire B-roll.
Fire.
Thank you.
Fire.
There actually was fire. There was some fire stuff in the first video too.
The guy hovering around the trash can.
Yes, the dude summoning
fire
the fire. Yeah. Oh, I guess that is a tie-in. I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
This clip.
Beautiful.
Obviously the way it hits the music too.
Yeah, shout out to Zach on that one. This one I had to explain to my dad a little bit because he was kind of confused on the nuance of the spot. And that one was that it has a slight bevel. It's not insane, but if you pause it, you can see that it.
Oh yeah.
So you only have maybe this much room to hop on and hop off. If I'm looking at it right, because it's like, is it like a triangle?
Yes.
bevel?
So
all
it's got like the two front sides, the shorter ones, right, and then there's the long sides. So because of that, that eats up the
top part of that. So it's like you're only hopping on the strip at the bottom.
Correct.
Got you.
And then so I'm cruising at a pretty good rate at the exact edge of this thing, and then having to like Donkey Kong and then like blast a hop off of it, which was, to me, one of the most fearful things of trying this, was because I didn't want to slip into a accidental Smith or feeble or whatever, because I'm heading at the edge, and also having the time to pop the hop over it all, because the faster I went here, the shorter amount of time I had up top.
It was also crazy. There was that pole that your left bar was probably super close to.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a factor for you or no?
Yes, which was, again, pushing me towards that farther edge of the thing. So that's what was freaking me out, was that I was hauling ass and hopping at like the very corner of it.
This is when I wish I had a third angle for the back angle, just to kind of show some of that.
I mean, I think you showed it perfectly from my unknowledgeable perspective.
Just the pole and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. The blub.
Yes.
Another iconic New York spot. Those little like pole things coming out of the vertical part. I think maybe the first setup shot shows it the best. Yeah. So see on the vertical side, those like bars coming out. Since it's so rounded and the top part of the blub is round, I would rock, and my tires would make contact, or like my rims would make contact with those things, and it would just eject me out of the hot seat like immediately. So that was the hardest part, was like getting into a solid like fakie pegs enough to travel up. But if you went too much, because it's again round and your peg is flat,
slows you down.
You could slip out if you lean too much.
Okay, so they push your pegs from under you.
Yes, correct.
Oh wow.
Were they just where the handrail used to be or something?
Correct.
It's crazy they're still there. Like nobody pulled them out at any point.
Right.
Just with how long, that thing has been open.
Yeah, I mean, that thing's seen plenty clips from all action sports over the years.
Ryan Mills' banger in the OSS video too. Won't give it out.
Yeah.
But
yep.
It was.
Beautiful.
Canada?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, New York. And just again, another one of those spots that was just unique. And, I just wanted to get something on it because I thought it looked cool.
Sick. I mean, see, like stuff like that. Like, I feel like it's just like, I don't know. It's not your hardest shit. It's fun. It's like, it's put together well. Like, I don't know. It goes back to what you're saying in the beginning of like, hey, let's film some stuff. Like, it doesn't all have to be, I'm putting my life on the line type shit,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it felt good. I really enjoyed riding that spot. It was slightly downhill, so Zach could just like one push it pretty much. It was on bricks. That sounds cool.
Oh, yeah, sounds sick.
Yeah.
And then going over the Jersey onto the little side ledge kind of was like unique use of spot in my perspective. So I was just like, it doesn't need to be like what I said earlier, the 720 to manual 180, like again, that is insane, and all respect to the people that can do that. But for me in this specific moment, I was like, let's just get this. We're here. We're having fun. Like, it feels good. So let's
do it.
Yeah. Clip it up.
No pedaling in between was cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like a fun looking clip.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something I try to be very particular about, which maybe necessarily doesn't need to be that way, but like the no pedaling.
Who are those guys?
Those guys. Oh, there they go again.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to show it again.
Is that the guy that was shooting the photo?
Yes. So that's Pee-wee, Christian, and then that's Dev the Great.
I know Dev. Okay, yeah.
Oh, what is homie's name?
I forget. His
Starts with an
Instagram
M.
locals everywhere.
Yeah.
I forget what his...
Oh my God, I'm blowing it so hard right now. I'm so sorry, dude. Oh, it's not Malachi.
It is Malachi.
Is it Malachi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pee-wee's one of my OG homies, like from New Orleans, and he lives in New York.
Okay,
That's who we stayed with when we went out there.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Dev. Dev kills it.
Yeah.
Always ride with the backpack.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Correction, his name's Malik.
Malik.
Yeah.
Money. All right. Shout out Malik.
Yes.
Sorry for that, dude. It was in there somewhere.
Dude,
Thank
you were
you, Zach.
close. I thought you were right.
Got Benny in there.
Here we are.
Here it is again. All right, this one. I've been waiting to tell this story. So this one, bricks, wet, and leaves. Those three things do not mix well together in the rain. And you can see my tires are soaked.
You've been doing the 180 with the tires that way. Like,
yeah, I was already slipping around down there. And so we swept it as best we could, as you can see on the left side of me. But one of the attempts, I like slid out and saved myself from like my body hitting the ground. But then I put my hands down in front of me and just splashed that whatever juice straight up into my face. And this is like not, as you can see in the far background, there's homeless people hanging out. So you can imagine what sort of liquids are going on in this corner piece right here. So yeah, mid clip try, I just get a nice facial of whatever the hell was on the ground.
Burp bath there.
Yeah. Not ideal.
I guess like going, did we touch on it completely? I know they were different in the end. We know they're different, but like in the moment, did you know they were different? Like you're like, hey, I'm filming this, you know, I don't know which one's in order, obviously, but
the Grant one happened first.
Okay.
The long people to revert full cab. Then the Daniel one.
So this one was,
and this was the last one.
Yeah. So are you thinking at any point like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do another one, or?
Correct.
Yeah.
But in this specific situation, I liked the spot enough to where I felt like that trick worked for it. And since it was wet too, I knew that like, I felt like I could pull it with the slippery bricks at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I guess to Zach's point, what he pointed out was there is like a pole there that you kind of have to dodge. And
you just knocked Nyquist off the wall.
Sorry, Ryan.
It's all, you can leave it. It's fine. It will sort it out later.
He's getting wicked.
All right.
But yeah, I think after I got that clip, I was like, yeah, I need to like chill on that one because I'm trying to build out all these parts differently. So I don't want the same clip because I feel like for any of us, there's something to be said about dropping 3 videos, but there's also something to be said about dropping 3 videos with the same spots and the same tricks.
That would be called regurgitate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God. That's on point.
Perfect. Yeah. So there was a bit of mindfulness going into each one, trying to build out 3 completely different parts from a riding standpoint and spot standpoint for that matter.
So I got a nerd question. Are you using a gimbal for that, or is that just like a skating pass by with that?
That was a gimbal.
All right, looks like
Yeah, a couple times Broc, like I gave him a couple updated timelines because just to help him like really know everything we had, because sometimes you might forget about a clip or something.
That's sick.
Yeah, no, and that's a huge help. And again, I appreciated Zach doing that and Daniel and Grant, you know, like so I can kind of look at each one, even though it's so overstimulating to look at that much footage at one time. But to Zach's point, like be able to pull things out and be like, oh, well, I do have these 2 duplicates. I prefer this one. So I'm going to tell this dude like, yo, like, let's pull that clip and we'll run with this one here. Cause there is a finite amount of tricks that I can pull off. So eventually there's going to be a whip in each one. There's going to be a switch tail whip in each one. But at the same time, like if I can reduce the amount of like, almost 2 similar clips, then like I would do that.
No, that makes sense. Obviously,
a whip.
Yeah, speaking of whips.
I mean, I think this goes back to this. Was it the Sunday part? The one we did last time. Why is my strike? Yeah,
Odyssey.
like the Odyssey. That one had something like kind of similar, but it's like
it started out with that.
It shouldn't. I mean, if you ever find these setups, just keep doing them, please, because it like for good reason. Because it's like, dude, just the little breaks. Look at your foot.
Oh yeah,
back wheel hanging off.
Yeah, I was like hanging off for sure.
That doesn't even show it.
Yeah,
like literally from that position, your foot is like way off,
and my tire is off the back. Yeah, I was trying to soak up as much room as I had because it wasn't even a full crank's worth.
Yeah.
Like all the speed I got was me pushing. As I'm pushing, I'm putting my right foot down to a comfortable position to whip, and then you have to kick it.
Yeah,
and then I'm going off of the corner. So if you pause it there, maybe a little bit less, you can see that the whip is coming around and almost bouncing off of the corner. So that was the scary part is I didn't want that to ricochet and push me over going down off the whole thing.
What's on the other side of that?
Like a driveway to like pull in like behind that wall.
Oh yeah.
And this was our second visit there. The first time we went, just chickened out, to be honest. I
don't blame you.
Wanted the whip overall, and I just couldn't pull it off that day. So we ended up getting something else. But overall, I just would have rathered, and I spoke about this to Zach when we were editing, that I just wanted this to be the only clip showcased on that spot versus the other one, because I personally knew that when I got a clip the time before, I was just sort of excited to ride it and just wanted to get something there.
What'd you do?
I did like a slow bar spin
off,
like where I like hold the bar for a little bit and then land and then drop. And I mean, I like that trick a lot, but me knowing that I was chickening out, I didn't want to run the chicken out clip.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. No, I think the impact of this, I mean, I think, we probably dove into this last time quite a bit, but like just the pop, like it's not, you're not just getting the whip done, like it's like, it's about the way it feels and the execution, the way it looks. And that's like, it just, I mean, I'm sure you could have gone a little bit lower and still done the whip, but
then I don't know if I would have been able to clear my back wheel.
Maybe,
catch,
maybe.
That was the fearful side of it. But
well, just let me have my theory.
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
You're good. Run it. But this was one that I was on the list for a while, like pretty much from early on filming. I felt like maybe midway, like I had been chasing that one specifically.
Hell yeah.
And then next clip obviously is been famed by Sheckler of recent times.
Yeah, that was
1 week. Yeah, it was almost the Broc spot.
Yeah, that
was crazy that came out right before. Yeah, that was not planned at all.
Did you have any idea that anything had been done?
I mean, someone cut the fence.
Yeah.
So
the first time I seen this spot was, I think, Colin Provost, like in some video way back, and I saw the Ryan Sheckler one, and he was in there talking about it too. But yeah, spot is real crazy in person.
Yeah.
Like, it was it's really sick.
Uncrossed.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was going to say.
That's where I saw it. Exactly.
There's a very sad story about these clips.
Go ahead.
There's no back angle of the 360 because the camera overheated like right before.
Oh shit!
Was that why you ran the 180 before? Gotcha.
Just to see
it did its job. Like
this was like a money shot.
Yeah.
I just would have loved to see what that looked like from the back.
Yeah.
I mean, that one, before we get into this one,
I was so like the Sheckler thing. I was like just anticipating you coming back around and jumping into it, because that's what happened with him. And I was like, obviously you have no idea, but I was just like waiting for it. Like,
I think me, Nick, and Milky did it.
I'm sure. Yeah. You would just be chilling on it, obviously. But
it's there's a curb on if you're going the other way, there's a little curb hop. But yeah, you just the bank is steep. So that's the thing, is like you can't really just pedal as fast as you want and just hop. Like you kind of have to arc yourself into it. And I guess, to me, that's what made this spot notable, was that not only are you hauling ass, but like you're not on the bank for a long time to set up for anything. So like even with the 180, that's why I kind of get a little loose and like reach for it, because it's kind of awkward to be on that thing after like cranking your ass off, and then making it through the field goal post was just a very relieving feeling, as you can hear me yelling.
That was sick.
That was somebody else yelling that curse word, Broc.
No. I don't know who started that, dude. Dude, yeah.
Talking about diving in.
You.
Yeah. The dive was not on purpose at all. I just didn't expect to have that amount of time in the air traveling. I thought I was just going to travel out at it and just
the walls
hit it,
right there. Yeah.
Like, I guess parallel to the ground. But then as I was in the air, I was absolutely clenched, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 90 and now I'm facing the ground and I have nothing left. Like as soon as I hit the wall, like it is just, hold on,
dude.
Cause the first one I would have ran into the ground. Like I targeted my front wheel just straight into the corner. And
you did this more than once.
Yeah. This was the second.
So you kind of did the dive on the first one too, huh?
Yes, but that one was even more unexpected. Yeah. So like I was like,
you landed back tire first.
Yeah.
So heavy, bro.
I was that was another one that I eyed up before Zach got there, and I knew that I wanted to do it, but I just kind of kept that on the back burner until we had a couple of days of filming, because I didn't know how this was going to play out mainly because of all the shit that you could run into, but a wall, the ledge, the tree, just a lot going on. So
I like that you kept your composure though. Like after landing it, you was like, I'm pretty sure in the midst of it, you're like flying because you're like, I'm in the air way longer than I expected. Then landing front down, then coming out of it, then it's like, oh wait, I made it. Then it's like, now I got to slow down. So you like kind of skirted out of it, but stayed like composed the whole time, which is pretty sick under that type of pressure, man.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm just in the same scenario, I would have ran into the wall.
Yeah.
You know, like I would have been like, so like what's happening with my life? I'm alive and then I'm running into a wall very ungracefully, you know?
Thank you very much for
you did get a flat,
words.
The tire. I feel like
sounds like it.
I don't think I got a flat. Yes, I guess I did. That's definitely a flat. Yeah. Or it could be rolling over leaves.
Could be. I don't remember you having a flat tire.
I don't remember either. Maybe so, because didn't we fixed it outside because we were on the security guard there gave us like a window, right? He was like, yo, I'm switching shifts. You got from now until blah, blah, blah time to get it done. And I was like, oh, all right, let's get it popping, you know? So then as soon as we got the flat, like we just got the hell out of there. That way we didn't have to deal with blowing the spot out for anybody else that wanted to go ride it.
Yeah, what a spot too. That place looks incredible. I'm sure it's
so
probably one of those ones.
insane.
It's like, you know, possibilities are almost like too many or something, or it's really impossible to ride and it just looks great
to ride, or you got to get in there and go through people's apartment building basically to get to it. And then they do have a security guard there who did kick us out, but did give us the tip of like, come in the morning. It's basically just, it's so loud when you're in that courtyard and it goes into everyone's windows and they're just bummed on it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing any grinding or any loud thing. I couldn't imagine skaters in there. Like, dude,
impossible.
Be really loud.
Yeah, it sounded like a concert.
Dropping frames again. So for some reason, the computer is not happy today. But damn, yeah. I mean, I think the gap wall, like I think unexpected, you know, like especially it being the third one, like there's nothing else like that. Obviously, you know, the spot was speaking to you in that sense. But yeah, fucking 22 minutes of bike riding footage.
Pretty much.
No bullshit in any of them. That's incredible, dude.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, I mean, again, I can't say this enough, but shout out to Zach. You know, like you killed it, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to Daniel Grant for again being down to, you know, make all this shit come to life because it was a lot, but I'm very thankful. And yeah, I mean, to end this one off with a trick that scared the shit out of me that wasn't a grind was kind of cool. From the other two being last clips on rails, you know, just something a little different. And that's what I wanted, was just to have 3 videos that all felt like one package, but you could kind of pick them out versus like, oh, I want to watch the one with the Arizona clips, or I want to watch the one that's all California or the New York clips. So that's kind of was another thing that just made it in my head a cool package to deliver to the BMX community to stoke them out to go ride.
Hell yeah. Anything next? What do you got going on?
At the moment, not too much. Probably just gonna.
You earned that.
Yeah,
so you know.
I appreciate that. You know, I mean, it definitely gonna start probably collecting more spots to go into the next videos. You know, just to have something that feels again different than what I put out this year. I want to continue getting out to a bunch of events. You know, like and just support BMX in any way I can, and that's the most fulfilling thing is just to show up for people. You know, I referenced that in the Canode podcast, but Matt Colossan couldn't have said it better. Like the more times you show up for this stuff, the more it grows and the more love you feel. And I can't reiterate that enough because it's what it's all about.
Oh yeah. And so I don't know. Do you have anything going on? What should we know about? You got any secrets?
Got some projects in the works.
Yeah.
And
when does that get dropped? The secret
things not till next year.
No, but like, aren't they announcing it?
I don't know.
No, they announced something else recently.
Don't announce the secret.
They announced something else.
Interesting.
But I mean, by the time this comes out, well, maybe we'll post this on Tuesday, actually.
Sunday, though, there's some stuff. We have an L-Strand video in the works.
Ooh,
or I mean, we're done filming, so
Yeah.
that should be hitting the web somewhat soon.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Excited to edit that.
I'm sure. He's not going to edit it?
No, he has another video. He does all those self-filmed videos that he's finishing that up now. So he's going to have 2 videos in a close time frame.
Wow.
One self-filmed and then one by me.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna have a series.
Dude.
It's gonna be way more creative than anything I could possibly conjure up. I can promise you that.
What's the last part? Like, spell your last name. Raiford. You should just make another video. Call it Ford.
Yeah.
Finish the beginning there.
There you go.
Raiford.
I'm not gonna have any comment on that.
Oh,
Got you.
look at you.
What?
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cliff notes. You're like writing the cliff notes.
Hey,
like, hey, this is the
study
story
it,
of
man.
Broc.
We'll see. We'll see.
Got you.
Yeah, that's
I feel like you guys talked about this. Now I'm weirded out.
That made you weird?
Nah.
Yeah. Nah. Like I said, like if I'm gonna be here in front of him, I need to kind of like do my homework and like I want to show him the utmost respect and also like I guess do him justice. You know, it's like if I'm paying attention to it, I think it kind of like, well, I could dig a little bit deeper myself to kind of like put more emphasis on the things I'm doing and not just in writing wise, but just in general. So it's like this to me translate further than just writing. So
Well, I
yeah,
appreciate
man.
that a lot.
Yeah, man.
I would do the same for you. And I appreciate that you pay that close of attention because that makes me feel less like crazy, you know, because like, I'm watching videos like that and I'm really like looking at those nuances and details of like everybody's specific style, those additions, the art direction, all that stuff. And I love that so much. And I believe it adds an extra layer. And I'm starting to see more and more of that in BMX. And I think that only just adds to what we're doing and makes it that much cooler to follow and really dive in deeper versus tricks, you know, which again is cool. I'm not hating on that, but I think, you know, adding that extra level just makes it that much
more substance,
cooler. Yeah. It gives you a feel, a vibe of what someone's doing, you know? So again, I appreciate the kind words and
bro.
you,
Yeah.
I don't know, noticing those details, you know, thank you.
Send me some artwork stuff so we can splice it in as well in that
sick.
clip.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
let's get that stuff in there. And thank you guys for coming down. I appreciate it. It's always I mean, fuck, be proud, man. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks for having
guys
us.
for having us on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Demarcus.
Of course, bro.
You know,
Thanks for letting me
same
be
old
here.
shit, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to sponsors. Shout out to everybody that supports me. You know who you are. And it's sick to, I don't know, pull it off, man. You know, so thank you guys that listened this long in this thing. And yeah, peace out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cheers. Oh, we did good in time.
Sick.
2 hours, 40 minutes. So I think like in the end it'll be like when we took like a 10-minute break or something. So nice. Feeling.